Hey, good night. Good night. Good night. This is the Marcia Week show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And tonight we have an exciting show lined up for you. We're doing the presentation of the APP candidates, and it's exciting. You're going to hear about these men and women who are, giving up their time to serve. They're ready to serve Barbados. And, contrary to what the present prime minister is saying, that Barbados doesn't really need an opposition. Anybody heard that? She's saying it's not necessary, and, that you're running a risk to get an opposition. Wow. But here we have the APP presentation of candidates. It's coming to you live. And guys, I'm going to ask you to really share, really share, because as you and I know, the third party candidates, they are, they don't get a lot of traditional airtime. So I'm going to ask you the way you can help them. If you believe in third parties and you believe in what it is that they have to say, I'm going to ask you to share. Go into your messenger and share. Share on WhatsApp. Share the Marcia Weeks show link in the WhatsApp. Share it. Share. And let's get the word out. Hi, Winston Clark. Hi, Winston. I know Winston is pushing for third parties as well. And tomorrow we'll have all of Solutions Barbados will be on. Last night we had some people from Solution, some candidates from Solution Barbados, and also Barbados Sovereignty Party. And they were on last night. It was amazing. And tonight we're going to have the full buffet for you of the APP candidates. Now, I have with me in the studio Mr. Trevor Sealy. Yes, welcome, Mr. Sealy.
Hello, Marcia. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Really
Wonderful.
really doing
Wonderful.
great. Good to
Mm-hmm.
see you. Good to see you. And
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sealy, you are one of the zone captains
That I
for
am.
APP. Can you tell us what that is and what do you do? What do you do as a zone captain?
Well, we have divided the candidates into several zones. I'm head of the West Zone, and I look after 4 candidates. We basically play a supporting role to make sure that the candidates have what they need in terms of information, connections, and stuff. We share information back and forth. If there is any faltering, we will try. I will. I'm my responsibility is to try to ensure that it is ironed out and they can continue on. But hopefully, make a smooth transition in what they're doing. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, awesome. And that's great because there's that great organization that is happening in
Yes.
APP. And I think that's really great. So because a lot of
Hmm.
our candidates are from the APP, they're new, fresh, they're new,
That's
newbies, they're
correct.
newcomers, right?
Yeah. Me too.
Mhm.
I came to this arena. I can't. I never. I enjoy watching politics, but I never thought I'd find myself in it. But given the circumstances, I decided to get up out of my chair and get involved and play a part. It's one thing to watch and see something happen, and then it turns out however it can. But if you can get yourself involved in it, then you have a chance to make a change or bring your own influence to it to help better the whole political process. So that is my hope. You get by getting involved to better the whole political process because I don't like what we were seeing for the last 2 to 3 years. Hmm.
Mhm. And you
Yeah,
said that you don't like what you're seeing, and you made reference to the present circumstances. What are those
that's correct.
circumstances that would
That's
cause
correct.
you to want to enter into politics?
Uh, well, the whole from the day the pandemic started, everybody was not sure what it was about. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person that I do my research. I like to look into things, and the more I looked at what I was seeing, the more what I was seeing, I wasn't like what I was seeing, and it didn't look right to me. And then I see leaders in different countries starting to implement started to implement positions such as safe zones and vaccine mandates and this and that, and all of them seem to be playing from the same agenda. But then you had another side away from the what I call the main narrative, they had a different perspective, a different point of view, and they're talking about established doctors with credentials. They were being silenced, and I started to listen to them. And the whole situation didn't look as it should. It didn't look right because in any democracy, in any democracy, you should have equal debate on both sides, and that was not what we were getting.
Right.
And that concerned me. So when this opportunity came up with the Barbados going to the polls, my idea was that we need to have a different government, a different perspective, one that will bring allow two different perspectives to be heard by the people. And I looked at the parties, and I decided to support Bishop Joseph Attlee's party, which is the APP. Right? And
but the question
directly
is,
involved.
why is the APP? You're the, I mean, you didn't just support, but you became a zone, zone captain.
Like I said, I wasn't prepared to sit back and do nothing. I decided to get involved so that I can bring influence. I looked at the DLP, and we see what they have done when they had their chance. Now we had the DLP, we see what they did, and when they had their chance. And what I look at, I don't look at what people say and how they say, because people can speak well. Politicians are trained to public speak. But what I look at is the fruits. I look at the fruits of the people, and I look at what the fruits the party bear. And it was not appealing to me. So the APP, which we have a fresh set of candidates, and I like the fact that they're coming from a Christian perspective. And I think that is good, because with a Christian perspective, your heart should be in the right place, one, and two, you should make decisions based on what is established by what God would want you to do. Because at the end of our days, we want to hear the words, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." We don't want to hear, "Depart from me, ye that work iniquity." So we will live our lives to please God and do the best we can in whatever we do.
Yes, and I think I was saying to you that I heard a little excerpt of our Prime Minister Mia Mottley, and she actually said that, what, I know some of you want an opposition, but basically saying, I don't think that's a good thing for Barbados. I literally heard her talking about that, and I'm like, I gasp, actually, to think that there would be even, a Barbadian, let alone a leader, that is saying that it's not necessary. She said, I know that Barbadians want to be balanced and fair, but I want you to think about this. And she's presenting another argument for why Barbadians should not want a strong opposition. So this lady, this woman wants to be a dictator. Is that what this is all about? What are your thoughts about that? I don't know if you heard the video.
The thing about human nature is that when we get into positions of power, something happens to us. There's actually a saying that goes like this: ultimate power corrupts. Power corrupts, but ultimate power corrupts ultimately. So when you get that taste of power and control, and it's never satisfying, because the more you get, the more you want, and then it turns into a sense of greed, and that goes for money, that goes for control, that goes for everything else. And that's why we should always fix our eyes on God, because He's our stabilizer, He's our standard. But when we move away from Him, we get into these things, and we get to the point where, when you can say that, you don't need an opposition, what are you saying? Democracy is based on having that, again, what I said before, you have two sides, and you come together with two different points of views, you debate them out, and then the best solution should hopefully come out of it. But when you move away from that, you have one hand clapping. You're going in one single direction, and you're not listening. The people can get leave out. The people on the other side get leave out, and that's not what we want. That's not what we're about. In fact, being on this side now, on the APP, my influence would be to drive our management, our team, to embrace freedom to choose, freedom to decide, and that is good. That's going to be my push. We're not going to
Mhm.
put freedoms aside. People will have the choice to do or not to do,
Mhm.
and we will respect that,
Mhm.
right? So,
Mhm. Yeah, you know,
mm,
I'm going to thank you so much. And Jean Chase Sealy, welcome, Jean Chase. Jean, I'm going
mm,
to ask you. She's saying, Jean is saying, she says, so true. And opposition is essential.
of course.
Essential. Jean, are you Barbadian? Let me know if you're Barbadian. And I think that any well-thinking, meaning Barbadian, any patriotic Barbadian will be saying what Jean is saying, and opposition is essential. And so when we
Mm,
have a leader, when our leader is trying to convince us that an
mm,
opposition is not essential, I am telling you that leader desires to be a dictator. And the Barbados should just let this leader know we will not allow you to be. we will
yeah.
we will remove you. Very, very,
Mm,
very, very simple. Very simple. I when I heard that, Mr. Seeley, I was okay. Jean is a Barbadian. When I heard that, I was totally, I mean, totally blown away. I don't know if I'm seeing Winston Clark, if you're still there, and if you heard that as well, or listen to it. I listened to it twice actually. I
mm,
literally listened to it twice. So
mm,
what I'm saying is this is a very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous
mm,
situation that we're
mm,
finding ourselves. And
mm,
you gave such a great explanation, Trevor, as to
mm,
why she would be saying to Barbadians, we don't need an opposition.
mm,
Where it's
mm,
George Orwell that says power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
mm,
And that's what is happening. Let me
yeah.
see here. Wayne Hoyt, good evening, Wayne. Guys, we're going to continue to speak with Mr. Trevor
See
and
them?
Trevor Sealy. Thank you, Trevor
Mm, mm,
Sealy. And he is a zone captain for APP, the Alliance Party for Progress.
yes.
And tonight, what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be basically showing the candidates, presenting the candidates is what is going to happen tonight. Is a presentation of the candidates live as we go on into the program. Okay, so this is going to happen, but I'm going to ask you who are watching. I know other people have their presentation of candidates tonight.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
and they have a whole set of following on Facebook, and people go there because they want to hear the raucousness and they want to hear somebody say a bad word about this person and all of that. And we like the hype and so on. But
mm,
I'm going to ask you to share. It's very important that you share. If you're listening right now, share. If you haven't shared, man, you're not supporting the third parties. We needed to
mm.
share. Share. We need to have over 100 shares on this. Okay, guys, this is very important. If you are watching this, we need you to share. Please, please, please
Mm,
share. Okay. Now, there is an article that I want to, that I saw today actually, and
mm,
very, very good, a very good article. And this is an article by Veronica Evelyn,
mhm,
right? This is an article by Veronica Evelyn, and I'm trying to get it on my screen right now. And I want us to, to take a look at it, take a look at this article.
mhm,
And I can't really see too much. I'm hoping the others can see it. Yes, but
mhm,
it says speaking out wearisome and worrisome snap election, and this is
mhm.
people are passing this around because I believe that Mrs. Seeley, she's right on the money with this. But let's chat
Yeah.
about it a little bit. But I'm going to
Mhm,
read parts of it.
mhm,
Barbados has been subjected to a wearisome and worrisome election. The rationale for this remains mind boggling and does not inspire confidence. Why would a government controlling 29 of 30 seats in parliament decide to announce, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of Christmas celebrations, on a bank holiday 18 months ahead of time that disunity in the country caused for fresh elections? How exactly a rushed election will bring unity to a divided country? Only God knows, she says. No provision has been made for persons in isolation or quarantine to exercise their right to vote. Little notice was given for persons to ensure that they were on the electoral list. A COVID weary population, many of whom are politically disillusioned, anxious, apprehensive and financially distressed in their personal lives, has been burdened right at the start of a new year. For some,
Mhm.
it is a no brainer vote party. For others, 3 weeks is insufficient time to weigh the issues and make a reasoned choice between political disenfranchisement, political disgust, and political uncertainty. In the context of an imminent New World Order, this election is essentially a battle for the soul of the nation. Barbados is traditionally a faith based society, and it is reasonable to expect that godly values govern the country's post republic development. However, we are now capitulating to another God. One vocal group would even have to have no monarch, no master, no God. Perhaps this is the real dilemma. Should Barbados be founded on principles that acknowledge the supremacy of the modern world or principles that acknowledge the supremacy of the eternal God? The September 15th throne speech made this administration position clear as to whom it deems supreme. Barbados cannot afford to lose favor with the modern world, a collective term that seems to refer to Canada, the USA, UK, and a few countries in Europe. But can we afford to lose favor with the eternal God? No one can serve two masters. The development of social systems cannot be founded on both modern world and faith based philosophies, where these are poles apart and issues such as justice and equality, the basis of human dignity, the sanctity of life, fundamental human rights, human sexuality, the relative value of money and morals. Whereas the mindset of the modern world constantly evolves, God's word is forever settled in heaven. There is no reconciliation between the two. Over the past 3 years, we have seen the incremental but systematic dismantling of godly values by this administration. There have been enough yellow, orange, and red flags to raise alarm about the direction of the country and, by extension, the legacy that we will leave for our children. Will the Republic of Barbados be reset to establish allegiance to the modern world? Or will we continue, even normally, to make the Lord our guide? There's more in the mortar than the pestle. As I see it, on January 19th, Barbados will elect not only its government, the nation will also tacitly elect its God. Hmm. What are your thoughts? I mean, this is such a powerful article.
Yes, it is. If I had to
Really,
summarize
really
it, if I
powerful.
had to summarize it, I remember the scripture that says, "Choose you this day whom you will serve."
Hmm.
Um, the fact is, our parents gave us a beautiful Barbados, and at that time, the leadership, I believe, they had God in the front seat.
Hmm.
Over the years, and especially in the last 3 years, we've moved God out of the front seat of leadership for this country because He's our guide,
Hmm.
and put him out the back door, and we have closed the door behind Him.
Hmm.
We need to bring God back in because we want to leave. Our parents left us a beautiful Barbados, and we want to do the same for our children.
Hmm.
We don't want to leave. You don't leave a tardy Barbados, tardy and torn Barbados for our children,
Hmm. Hmm.
which will be burdened by debt, etc., etc. We also this is our duty as parents to leave Barbados beautiful for our children,
Hmm.
and that's really my gut reason for being here too as well, and being in this place and trying to help push the APP to a victory Because right now, as it stands, I mean, we saw in the last few months. I mean, taking God out of the Constitution, everything is being done slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I liken it to the frog. You know, you don't throw the frog in the boiling water, jumps out immediately. I
Mm-hmm.
liken it to you just warm it up, do a little bit at a time. People don't realize, don't think about it, and before you know it, when the water's boiling, the frog is dead. But
Mm-hmm.
we need to be on our guard. We need to be watchful, and we need to be thinking about these things. And we need to bring, as I said before, we need to bring God back in the room, and not only in the room, but back to the front seat of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it is in Him that we became beautiful. When you take Him out, we're not going to be beautiful anymore. We're
Mm-hmm.
not going
Very
to be beautiful
important.
anymore.
And
Yeah.
Janine, Jean Chase Sealy, she said it's so important if we're serious about people's rights to have a say. A snap election is really an attempt to stop this from happening. And she said
Mm-hmm.
Veronica Evelyn's comments are on point. And I think, Mr. Sealy, this seems to be the theme of this administration. Is an
Right.
administration that is bent on um, basically doing what it is that they want to do. They've totally
Re-
forgotten about
re-
representation
removing
of people.
removing God from the center of our lives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we
Yep.
can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. And it's one thing to say it, but we need to live it as well in what we
Mm-hmm.
do and how we do it. And if we take power, we need to, exemplify and show people that we are not here to say something. And especially right now, we're working on a manifesto. And I'm encouraging my team that what we put in there, we will do. We will not
Mm-hmm.
just use the manifesto as a marketing tool and then do our own thing when we get into the seats of government. But we will do what we say, and we will keep our word. That is imperative. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
last days, we all would want to hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." So
Mm-hmm.
let's do what we say and say what we do.
Mm-hmm.
No hiding, and no, and let's get rid of corruption because there is plenty of corruption in our society.
Mm-hmm.
You've turned a blind eye to it, but we need to deal with corruption.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Um,
Hmm.
Che is saying, I would like to know how the APP candidates plan on tackling the most important issues for this country. And as when they're doing the presentation, I believe some of these questions will be answered.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that? Do you have anything to say to Che?
Yeah. Well, I come from a business background, and we target problems by not leaving out the elephant in the room. So when you tackling problems, you must look at all sides and then make your decision based on what you see. And that is what we're doing as a party. We're going out there in the field, we're tapping into what people are saying, because best solutions come from the people that are in the problem. And we're asking people to tell us what it is, the problem is, and tell us what the solution is. You see, when we as managers or leaders just decide on what to do without hearing the voices of the people in the problem, we're going to make mistakes. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going out there and we are listening to the folks and we are asking them what the problem is. And what we will do as government is facilitate the process that we can get the problem solved. And it's
Mm-hmm.
imperative that we work together. I remember the words of John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, but rather ask what you can do for your country. And I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage Barbadians to take that view. Don't leave it again. Don't leave it to somebody else. Get involved. Play your part. It may seem hard and difficult at first, but trust in
Mm-hmm.
God, and He will provide, and He will give you that knowledge, that strength, or that wisdom, or whatever you need to get through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing very well said, very well said. Angela Blackett is saying, great. I look forward to seeing it. It's going to come out, Angela, because I saw Veronica Price, who is a candidate, and she's on and she's affirming what Mrs. Sealy is saying, Mr. Trevor Sealy is saying, that it'll be out in the next few days. Obviously, they've been putting it together. The two parties have come together, so and they're working very well. It seems. How is that going to you? The unity. Although the prime minister said there's no unity, it's amazing that you guys have come together. How is that meshing going?
Um, I think it's going very well. And again, when I first got involved, being a novice to politics and so on, and I started to look at the group dynamics and I see people, where we are weak, the strong are coming and stepping in. Where we are strong, we look for where there's weakness and we step into that place. So we're
Mhm.
working together as a body. And for me, from my perspective, I'm enjoying the oneness approach, and
Mhm.
that I think that would do well for us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is over there. Yeah,
There's an energy to it. I know some of the
yeah,
others, Solution Barbados, Bajan Free Party, Barbados Sovereignty Party. They have come together, and so
mm-hmm.
it's kind of ironic that
Mm-hmm.
we're told there's no unity in the country. And
No, no.
you know, somebody said it's not that there's no unity in the country. It's that we're not people are not being obedient enough.
Yes, 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 yes. And we must unify for a reason. I think the best reason to unify others for your own country. And that's
Mhm.
what we're doing. We're unifying for our country, our people. We will not be governed. We will not be governed by someone sitting in a seat in some environment thousands of miles away. We will be leaders, not puppets. We will be leaders.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm seeing Veronica Price is on. Veronica,
Mm.
can you check your WhatsApp, please? And if you can jump on this live, come on in. Check your WhatsApp, Veronica, and come right in. She's a candidate, and
Yes.
with somebody said, will they have? How are they going to tackle some of the most important issues for this country? And I know she has some things there that she wants to do for her constituency. So I
Yeah.
want you to come in as we await word on the presentation as we get that going. So come right in, Veronica, and just check your WhatsApp. Remember to put the link in Google Chrome, and come in. Very very important that we do that. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
She's
we,
a.
we
Mm.
yeah, we keep it going. This I want to hear from Mr. Hoyt. This is Mr. Hoyt has joined us, and Wayne P. Hoyt, and he is really seeming to genuinely be someone who wants to see the third party thrive.
Yep.
And he comes on, and I'm hoping he's sharing. We need to
Mm.
put our numbers up, guys. I know that a lot of the different parties are having their meetings tonight. All right. So
Mm.
you are the ones that we are going to depend on to share this live, so that the third parties, for example, APP, that people will be able to hear about them. All right. So we need you to do that. Remember, it's a snap election. They don't even have a quarter of the money that the
Hmm.
government has.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
they're just throwing away money and just giving
Mm.
away money.
Yeah.
And not especially the third parties. They can't do the promotion. You're asking where is, we don't see them. You don't see them because traditional
Hmm.
media is not going to focus on them.
Yeah.
We just had three of the candidates were on brass tacks,
Mm.
and they gave them a little bit of time. Not only that, when the news came out, when it was
Mm.
time, the extract from the news was from the party in the admin from the administration, from the BLP candidate, is who
Right.
they quoted. So these
Mm-hmm.
are some of the challenges that the third party,
Mm-hmm.
that they have. And
Mm-hmm.
I love the underdog. I'm going to go and help those who are marginalized.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep. Yeah.
to marginalized. So I'm going to ask you to join. This is the kind of listener, viewers that I have, and I know they're going to share. I know they're going to
Okay.
share. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Veronica is saying not even a tenth. Come on, Veronica, and tell us all about it. Come on, come right in. Come right in and tell us about it. Um, when Mr. Hoyt, have you seen the extract that's going around on Facebook, on WhatsApp? I saw it, and on Instagram, of our prime minister saying that we don't really, we should really reconsider Barbados about having an opposition. She says, Yes, we want to be balanced. I know Barbadians are balanced and they're fair, but do you really need an opposition? What are your thoughts about that, Mr. Hoyt, Angela Blackett? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts about that? Shay Chapman, what are your thoughts? I mean, I wasn't, as I say, my navel string wasn't cut here, right? But
Mm.
I'm a Barbadian,
Okay.
and for me, hearing that, it just boils something inside of me. It makes me want to go to the polls. It makes me want to go to the polls. How
Mm-hmm.
dare you? How dare you tell me that we don't need an opposition? Who are you to tell us that we don't? It makes me want, like, let me go to this poll because, well, so I want to hear from Wayne. Good evening, Paula Sealy Bradshaw. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. We're waiting for some of the candidates to come right in. And a
Right.
lot of them are out today, doing a lot of canvassing and spot meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
really, tell us about your candidates, the ones. How many do you have in your zone,
Me, I have four in my zone.
and who
And
are
actually,
they?
Veronica Price is one. Then she's in St. Michael West Central. Patsy Nurse is she's in St. Michael West.
Hmm.
Margaret Lashley Todd, and she's City of Bridgetown. And Maria Phillips, St. Michael North. All able-bodied and ready and raring to go. I would like to just speak quickly about the third party. You see, traditionally, Bajans tend to, well, not all now, but most Bajans tend to vote by party. And I think that comes out of being afraid for change because you get accustomed to something, you're settling it, so you stay in that route. But I would encourage people to break away from that set
Hmm.
mindset and learn or try to embrace the change because what we are going to be bringing as APP is change.
Hmm.
That's the emphasis here, right? We live in a world where, I mean, in the computer industry, change is just normal, and we've
Hmm.
grown accustomed to it. In 3 months, something is obsolete, you
Hmm.
know. But with change, what we actually look at us. We are individual. I'm a businessman. We have individual business people. We have professionals. We have done um, we have done our own work, and we have proven ourselves as individuals. And I would encourage the agents to look at us as a party and what we have done for in our own lives. We have managed the small, and we are ready to manage the big. But once you're proving yourself in the small things that you do, then you move to the big things. So I would encourage Bajans don't be Barbadians not to be afraid of the change, but we can't continue like this. Um, are we better off now than we were 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 3 years ago? No, but we need to have change, new ideas, new vision, new perspective, and trust us. He will not let you down. We trust in God. He will not let us down. We trust in God for us, with us, work with us. We work together, and we will not let you down. In fact, we will not let down each other. Let's put it that way. We're in this together. That's it, Marcy. Marcia. Marcia seemed to have been disappeared. Um, this is technology for us.
Okay, well, I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. I've seen that Veronica is not able to come on, and
Oh, okay.
Miss Pauline Bradshaw is on. I'm hearing that she's on, and
Okay.
if we can have her coming on, that would be wonderful. In fact, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to just put the link in the chat here. Ryan Turnkey. Oh, he's some BSP. Yeah, right. BSP. Good. And wonderful. Oh no, Bajan Free Party. And he's saying the premier has run her course. It's time for a change. Correct. Correct,
Mhm.
correct. And I'm hoping that Barbados will not take her suggestion that we don't need an opposition. That is, I mean, for her to even open her mouth and say something like that is just ridiculous. That she would have the boldness. Is that what she thinks about? Think of Bajans? Is this what she thinks of Bajans? Yes. I'm going to put a link here and you guys can come on in. Um, I'm putting the link in the chat, and you can come on in. I would love for Miss Pauline to come on in. Remember, when you put the link in, that you have to put it in Google Chrome. All right, so you have to use Google Chrome search engine. It's the best for you to use if you're on your phone while you're on your phone. But if you're using your laptop or you're using a desktop, the Google Chrome is the best storage to be in, and just click on it, and you should come right in. You don't need to download anything at all, and come in. And what is it? Mrs. Sealy, Che Chapman is saying the PM wants to keep the nation in bondage, so that's why she doesn't want an opposition. It's sad to say that Barbados is in a spiritual battle, but we are the Davids and Joshuas of our time. And we have to pray to God and fast to break the hold that was placed over us. Whatever was done in Ghana needs to be undone by the power of the Holy Spirit. Shay, you said that we are in a spiritual battle. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Write it there, and let's have this show together. We're still waiting on the link for the presentation. So while we're waiting, we're just gonna keep talking and keep sharing our views, and this is a place where it's called We the People, right? So this is our election express. So we're gonna keep talking, and those of you who can jump in, come on in. Come on in, Pauline Bradshaw. The link is right there. Search for the link. It says StreamYard. That's the link. That's there. It's right here on my screen, and you will find it. You will actually find it in the chat, and you can use that and come right in. Come right in. Yes, come in, and let me hear. But Shay was saying. Okay, I'm seeing here. So the presentation has been postponed until the official presentation has been postponed until Tuesday, 6 p.m. All right, Tuesday, 6 p.m. And these things happen, especially technical issues. And I started watching it, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So there's some little issue that is happening there, but we will wait. If we can get some of the candidates coming on, Paula, Bradshaw, come right in if you can. That would be wonderful to come in. And if you're listening, come right in. Now, Mr. Sealy, Shay says that we're in a spiritual battle. What is Shay talking about?
Well, she's coming from a Christian perspective, and I myself, I've studied the scripture for like 25 years now, and when we get into situations, we tend to see things from a natural perspective, but there's also a spiritual dimension to whatever situation we get into. And where we find ourselves in history at this moment, I will put it squarely in Revelations chapter 13. And this word was written 2,000 years ago. And like many other what we call prophecies were written, and we've seen them come to fulfillment. And in that prophecy in Revelation chapter 13, it says, "No man will be able to buy or sell unless they have the mark." Now, first off, I'm not going to say that the vaccine is the mark, but what we are seeing and what we are observing as researchers is we're seeing things coming into the picture that are aligning themselves with this particular scripture. Right? And I'll give you just one example. There was a patent on a device that's going to be used in finance, the financial institutions, and it's has the patent ID. I think it is ID 2020 060606. So those, and zero is not a number. So you have a 666 in this patent, and it's going to be involved in currency and exchange of products and so on. So things like that are hinting to us moving in that direction. So as the pieces falling, we will keep observing so that prophecy is actually fulfilled. But as you can see, in some countries you can't do You can't go into places unless you have this so-called vaccination,
Yes.
and so on. We see in it, little bits and pieces, but we
Mhm.
are watching. We are commanded to watch, and we must continue to watch.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, and
Yes.
share. Mm.
Right. Okay. Let me see. So we need if you're a candidate and you are watching, I'm going to ask you to come on. Whichever party that you're from, right in, you can come right on, and use the link and come.
Okay. Postponed until Tuesday. Okay. What I would say is that the people I'm working with and what we've been doing so far, what I can see is that they are putting their best foot forward,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing the best they can. And that's all we ask of each other. Just do the best that you can. I think that
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
want to do the best they can, and they have a postponement. So I look forward to
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday being really great. A really great
Yes.
presentation on
Yes.
Tuesday
Yes.
at 6 p.m.
I want to hear from people. Miss Wiggins, Wavona Wiggins is there. What do you how do you feel about third parties? What are your concerns? And why do you think, those of you who are watching, why do you think that people don't generally vote third parties? Why is that so?
Mm.
The thing is, I was thinking today, that the DLP was a third party at one point, because
Yeah,
remember that it broke away from another party,
yeah.
and they were out there in the wilderness a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the,
Mm-hmm.
the DLP was a third party. So sometimes we say, oh, we're not into third parties, but sometimes those traditional parties were at some point third parties as well. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing is though, as I said, one of the reasons why people may not want to change is want to vote for a third party because they're afraid of change. The aspect is that they may not know the candidates, and what I'm seeing, the candidates are having interviews on the Marcia Weeks show, so that gives people an opportunity to come and see the candidates in the interview process, and you will hear what you will see is confidence, and you
Hmm.
will hear about the know-how that they have and so on. So I encourage Barbadians to look up your stream and your recordings and see the candidates that have been interviewed and hear from them and get to know them. And I pray that will inspire confidence in the folks to trust us.
Hmm. Hmm.
As
Hmm.
I said before, we have proven ourselves in our own individual fields, and we are ready to prove ourselves at the national level.
Hmm. Thank you. Jean Sealy saying, I think people don't vote third parties because Bajans like familiarity. However, I think there is no choice now. The third parties are the only option for freedom at this time. That's what
Mhm.
Jean Sealy is saying. So
Mhm.
do you think it's because people they like what they're familiar, they're familiar with the BLP, they're familiar with the DLP, and then they just you know
Yeah. Yes.
mhm,
Yes.
mhm,
Familiarity component is very big and large, and
mhm,
that's what we are doing to that. And we have this short time. The traditional thing is to go to meet field. You have a few months and you get to know people. You go and meet them. You have a few days,
mhm,
and so the only option for us. And I don't run for any. I don't run or encourage people to run from a fight. Look at the hands you're dealt with. Learn at the hands that you have in your hands and play them to the best of your ability.
mhm,
So in a few days, we will be just getting out there on the social media platform because everyone has a cell phone
mhm,
and a laptop and desktop, and we're gonna do our best, as I said, to get ourselves known. So you'll get familiar in this short time with the
mhm,
candidates that we have.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Miss Bradshaw is asking me to post the link again, so I'm going to do that. And so you would have to put it in Google Chrome. Put it in Google Chrome. That would be very important to do.
Mhm.
Have you know, the thing is, anybody on here, anybody who's watching has ever voted third party? Because you know, as you said, people become familiar. I know people who say, okay, they had planned to vote, you know, a third party last election, and they went in and they don't know what happened. They just voted a different party. I actually heard people say, you know, all up to the day of election, they, you know, they knew what they were going to do, and then on the day of election, something just happened,
Yeah.
and one lady said she went in there and she just voted something else.
Like I said, I'm not afraid of change. The last time we voted, I voted for a third party. I'm not afraid of change. And I encourage Barbadians, don't be afraid of change. We are here to work for you. We're here to work together and with you. And we will not silence any voices. Everybody will have their seat at the table to say what their needs are and what they think the solutions can be. We're here to listen to everyone.
Correct. You
Yeah.
know, Wevona Wiggins is saying they have a fear of the unknown, and that's what's happening with Bajans. But if they even look at Reverend Atherley, you know, as she's saying what he did with just 3 persons, and he said, what I have heard thus far, they only need more mileage. This is the time for third parties. What I would have liked to see is that they merge as one to have a better chance, right? So Wavona is saying that when you look at what Reverend Atherley, I mean, he had the foresight and the insight, and you know, to put Caswell there, you know, as a senator. And look, I mean, if we did not have that voice in the Senate, look at what would have happened even with the nurses.
Yeah.
So, you know, can you imagine? Can you imagine? So the possibilities. Look at the possibilities, guys. I myself, you know, Mr. Allen, I voted third party the last time. I was
Oh,
determined. Yes, I did. I did. I voted third party because I looked at everything and I said, no, for there to be a change, we have to step out, right? You have to step out. Yes, there's that fear of the unknown, but I sat down and I read through the manifestos. And in my heart, I knew that, you know, if I'm going to go and stand up in the hot sun, you know, I want to be doing something that I feel comfortable in doing. And the first time I actually ever voted was in Barbados.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But when I left Jamaica, I couldn't well, there was no election going on at the time when I could vote. And I lived in the US and then came to Barbados. And I voted traditional parties at when I, you know, the times before that I voted. But the last election I voted third party. And
Okay.
you know, and I'm saying to people, we need more people like us, Mr. Aline,
Yeah.
you and myself,
Sealy,
to
Trevor
take that
Sealy.
step. Huh?
I'm Sealy, Trevor Sealy. Trevor Sealy.
Mr. Sealy.
I could
You
be
know,
Ali tonight.
yeah,
Trevor Sealy.
we need more people to remove the fear. What are
Yeah.
we so afraid of?
The-
Look at what
the-
I think we need to be more afraid of what we see in front of
yeah,
us.
yeah. But watch this. You also have an expectation component to look at as well. That actually plays a part. You see, when you put in someone, you expect the expectations to come out of this appointment. But the thing is, if you put back these same people expecting different expectations, someone said that's really not the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
To have meaningful change, you have to bring someone else, a different perspective, a different approach. But going back with the same people all the time, expecting a different result is not going to happen. You end up in a cycle, going nowhere fast. So let's break that
Correct.
cycle. I
Correct.
encourage Barbadians to break that cycle. Like look at the third party, give them opportunity, and what else?
Yeah.
Give them some
Wayne
opportunity.
Hoyt is saying here, my friend Wayne, and he comes on every night supporting the third parties. He said, we had elected MPs that back all the policies and never stood up against any that the constituents or people objected to. or that impacted people's lives. None spoke about mandatory vaccines, none payment of severance payments in support of the nurses. No MP supported their actions and plight, etc. Why give them another chance? And these are, I mean, this is Mr. Hoytman, you need to come in this room. But listen, these are some of the concerns that I have, because I'm saying, Mr. Sealy, he speaks here about mandatory vaccination. Remember, there are about 48% of the Barbadian public that's not vaccinated. That's a whole voting block.
Exactly.
That's a lot of people, and so we need, these are questions that we really need. Go and look in the manifestos, guys. Take
Yeah.
the time and read them, because let me tell you, after the 19th, we don't know if it wasn't for the doctors, a lot of us couldn't get health care in this country,
Yeah.
because
That's
those
right.
who are not vaccinated. So it's a big voting block, and we're talking about the nurses. Why don't we need to hear them talk about what are they going to do for the nurses? you know
Yeah.
yeah,
Of
but I'm
course.
seeing in here, Jean C, let me just go through some of these comments, because really it's about we the people, and we want to hear from the people and what
Yeah.
they're saying. I'm seeing Joel King saying that she voted third party last time as well. And we're alive and well. Nothing is going to happen to you. There's no boogeyman over there.
Mm.
There's no boogeyman over there, right? It says Jean is saying Barbadians need to recognize that right now the nurses are under threat, but they are just the beginning. If we don't stand up and make a change, the government will think we approve of what they have been doing. That is so true. The next target will be teachers and the other government workers. Very, very important, guys. So that we stand up and make our voices heard. Yeah. Webona, let me hear what Webona is saying. Third parties need to understand that persons are concerned about the forced vaccinations, PCR testing every week, losing jobs if neither of these are obeyed. I believe so. And I know that the traditional parties, if you go with them, the truth of the matter is, based on what they have been saying, it is going to go down the same road. Let us be open and talk about it. It is the third
Yes.
parties that are different as it
Yes.
relates to this. And that is the truth.
Yes. These are the what we call the elephants in the room. They need to be brought to the table and discussed and talked about. We cannot ignore it. And again, as you said, we have 40 people not vaccinated. They too have their voice, and we need to speak for them. And it is their decision not to. Let's respect not to be vaccinated. If it's their decision not to be vaccinated, let us respect that. That's their God-given right to decide what they want in their body.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the other thing too as well is that we've heard about vaccinations and vaccines, but we have not heard much about treatments. That has been left out. And I want to say to everybody that I've done my research, and you can do it too, but the treatments work. One example, quickly, we have something called ivermectin, used in India, and one of their counties was declared COVID-free. But I have not heard it on any platform. I did not hear it when the government was in power. Nothing about treatments, hardly anything. But there are treatments. There are alternatives out there. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing Mr. Sean Carter here, and Sean is working behind the scenes in the media department with App. Sean, I just want to welcome you. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, good evening, Marcia. Good evening, Barbados. Good evening, world. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Hi, Trevor.
Yeah, hi, Sean. Yeah.
And I'm seeing Mr. Everton Huru Holligan, who, I mean, people have been calling me about that show we did together, and he's a candidate, and he's on. And welcome, Mr. Huru. You're muted.
Yeah.
Your mic.
Unmute. I'm here, totally. Good night, everyone. Good night, you special people out there
Hey,
doing the
Henry.
work for the people.
Yes.
It's really important that you keep the energy alive and keep things going So good night, everybody out there who's listening, and good night to you, Mr. Sealy.
Well, it's good. It's good to have you guys here, and we. I know, Mr. Carter, that you had been the the launch, not the presentation of the candidates was supposed to be happening right now, but I know they say good things come to those that wait. So we're waiting on it, and we know it's going to be amazing. But yeah, we're having the candidates coming in live in person. And so, Mr. Carter, what do you have to say to the people about that, the presentation of the candidates?
Well, I think it is for us, is the most anticipated event so far for the elections. It's something that, even though we are on the inside, we too are looking forward to it. It's a really, really good group of guys. I think Barbados should really listen to what they have to say, because there's this myth out there that this party and the other party have persons that have what it takes to take this country forward. And when you say that there's a new party or a third party, persons think that this is a inferior group of people that have been put together, and there's nothing further from the truth. There's several persons in this party that I know personally, Hero being one, and I know the character of the persons. I know the integrity of the persons. I know the knowledge base and the skills base of the persons, and they are just as equipped and knowledgeable in running the affairs of this country as any other politician that has ever passed through Parliament. And I can say that without any what was it? See, you can't even find a word. Without any reservations, yeah. I mean, I've known Bruce Hennis. For anybody that knows Bruce Hennis would know that he when it comes to economics, Bruce is nothing short of brilliant. Bruce is like a genius when it comes to economics. Even for me, back in 2014, when I entered the Bank on Me competition, one of the first persons that I made contact with was Bruce Hennis. So I've had that relationship with Bruce going back to then. I would have known him as a man of God before that, but as far as his economic brilliance, the 2014 gave me a little glimpse into that. My very good friend, and who I am now the personal assistant to, Mr. Sean Tudor, who will be winning a Christchurch East Central. Again, another brilliant mind. If you're talking international business, if you're talking agriculture, again, if you're talking economics, it doesn't get better than Bruce. It doesn't get better than Sean Tudor. You also have Patrick Tanis, who is very well versed again in economics. This is only three persons that I've mentioned so far in the party. As you know, I am an entrepreneur. Trevor is an entrepreneur. Hiru is an entrepreneur. Three entrepreneurs alone on this call. We must know something about customer service. We must know something about economics. We must know something about business. And I think that, empowering people, and even as it relates to for them becoming entrepreneurs, I think that is part of the solution to the way forward. We don't want people coming back to constituency offices asking for handouts. You see, if you start wrong, then you will end wrong. So when it's election time and politicians come around and they put a $200 in your hand or $400 in your hand, then that money goes in a day or two. Then where are you? So we don't believe in. I know I'm surrounded by people who does not believe in giving a man a fish. We believe in teaching a man how to fish. We believe in empowering people. And how do you know what areas they need empowering in? That's very easy. You have engagement with them. You have consultation with them. That's something that is missing from this present government. This government is making decisions, and then it's saying to the citizens of Barbados, well, this is what is happening. I'm surrounded by people now in APP who, yes, even though they have solutions, they're not going to their constituents and saying, this is what we will do, and this is what we will do. No, there's that process of engagement. There's that process of consultation. We are hearing from the people. We're hearing what they want, and therefore we know how to tailor what is needed for them. The other thing is, there's the macro level as it relates to the nation of Barbados, and then there's the micro level, and you need to be in touch with the people in order to break down that macro to the micro. And let me give just two examples. So we have, and from the last administration, even before the BLP administration, from the DLP administration, we all know there was an issue as it relates to foreign exchange. And two of our highest bills, our fuel import bill is crazy high. Our food import bill is crazy high as well. They're both ridiculously high, taking up too much, too great of a percentage of our GDP. Now, two simple things that we can do, and I show you how we can break it right down to a micro level to benefit the average man in the street. So at the macro level, as far as a nation is concerned, you have these high, extremely high, I gotta stress it, high import bill as it relates to fuel. Now we have sunshine almost 24/7. Every single day in Barbados there's sunshine. So we need to not just have a prime minister who's going overseas and talking and talking and talking, and not really implementing things on the ground here in Barbados. I think there was a statement that was made a couple of years back that every household should have a UV graduate. I think that just as every household has a computer, every household should have PV panels on their roof as well. So you have renewable energy. Some people call it alternative energy. As you know, I've been pushing alternative energy and renewable energy for years now. I introduced a product to Barbados, a solar air conditioner. So it's not something that you're meddling with. You're trying to figure out this stuff. It is the direction that we need to go in. So you're doing two things. You're helping Barbados at that macro level, but you're also helping households to reduce the cost of living. So imagine if you can help, let's say, um, just 1,000. Imagine if each candidate can help 1,000 residents within their constituency to eliminate or significantly reduce their electrical costs. You're helping the average man, but you're also helping Barbados at a national level. That is less foreign exchange that you have to look for as far as that high fuel bill is concerned. No, the other thing, the other, because I said I would give two examples. The other example is as it relates to food security. That's one aspect of it. But on the flip side, what we've been hearing in the constituency of Christchurch East Central is unemployment, unemployment. So when you speak to the youth, they say, we need work, we need jobs. When you speak to the parents, they're saying, or in some cases, we're realizing it's the grandparents. The grandparents are saying, my grandson needs work. Mothers are saying, my son needs work. So apart from helping people to become self-sufficient, you will also be helping people to you will also be reducing the high unemployment rate that there is now in Barbados through innovative ways of doing farming. Farming is no longer a back-breaking event or activity. I know that there's a stigma attached to agriculture and to farming, and I believe it's linked heavily to our colonial past and having to be slaves out in the field and stuff like that. But let me tell you, agriculture has changed tremendously, and you just need people with the know-how in the Ministry of Agriculture to take the country forward in that area. And I think that a lot of manufacturing could actually come out of that agricultural area as well. So, like I say, it will help with unemployment. It will help people to be more self-sufficient because money saved is as good as money earned. Anybody who has a backyard, kitchen gardening, a backyard gardening, they know the benefits of doing your own little thing. You got your beds, you got your cans, you know what I mean? You have something that is happening. So you're reducing your supermarket costs. And you're also contributing to the larger, like I said, the macro scale. I find that oftentimes um, when we hear economists speak or when we hear members of parliament speak, they're looking at things at a macro level as though it doesn't trickle down to the micro level. But if you empower the people at the micro level, then it helps the macro. It has that macro effect. So I mean, Marcia, these are just things that I am sharing off the top of my head, but because I'm surrounded with a group of people who are speaking this language daily, who have plans. So we're not coming to the nation and say, well, vote for APP because we are new. You're not saying that alone. We're saying vote for APP because there are effective solutions that persons have sat, put their minds together, have thought of. We are well aware of the economic situation. We are well aware of the millions of dollars that have been borrowed that need to pay back. We are well aware of the debt that was already there before we started to borrow this money. And there is a know-how. This myth that only a chosen few know how to take this country forward, that's rubbish. I can't find a nicer word to say. It's just plain rubbish. I've already identified only 3 persons that have a wealth of knowledge as it relates to economics, and that was excluding the 3 of us that is here on this call. So, we will be pushing for getting youth employed. We will be pushing for workshops and training. You have 3 trainers right here on this call tonight that can train any youngster from idea to startup and beyond.
Beyond, right. I'm going to use my Bajan word. The last time I used a Bajan word, right? I try my Bajan. Let me tell you, I almost clear out my whole parent chat because apparently it was not a nice Christian word that I used, but I don't know. So I hear you talk rubbish, and what came in my mind is jobby. Right? I hope I don't clear out. That's my bitch of word there, Johnny. Nonsense, rubbish.
Rubbish. Yes, rubbish.
Yeah, try to think that only one person, they're thinking, who's going to lead the country? Huh? Right. Who's going to lead the country? And when you look at who we have there, can anybody on here, Everton, can you tell me one policy that was rolled out in the 3 years that they didn't have to bring it back and fix?
Yeah.
Majority.
I think it's important to realize that, government is a continuum in a sense, and there are so many different, what you call the technocrats that are behind the scenes that are working to keep the country rolling over. Right. And then, the policies that are good policies, they're far and few in between. And then the ones that, like you just said, they came, and it almost like they came without any consultation, without any real thought process of how they will be implemented before they're implemented. So then they would have to repeal them, come back again and try to fix it. And when you juxtapose that to the idea, the belief that there's only one person who can run a country right now in Barbados, and the others are unable to or incapable of, that's part of a propaganda ploy. And you listen to the propaganda ploy, they talk about, how great the speech is, but we always had ministers that were great speakers. We always had people in parliament and in politics that were great speakers. We hear about the international arena, how great the current PM is in the international arena, how that brings back the international trust. I mean, we've always had prime ministers that were out there in the front line in the international scene, knowing how to speak, knowing how to present themselves in the international arena. But at the same point in time, we have the international arena focusing on themselves. They're focusing on the reality of their citizens and their people, and just going out to try to impress them, to hope that one day they will somehow give some of their scraps off the table. It's part of a ploy that is almost like nonsensical in my estimation, because truly our goal is to focus internally and try our best to ensure that the livelihoods of our people can be affected positively. It's not to appease international countries or international bodies, because they still have a relationship to us that's synonymous with the relationship of being our colonial masters and the past enslavers. That relationship is still there. So any appeasement that is being made in that and that pandering to in that arena, it almost goes for naught. I remember when Gaddafi was pandering and Gaddafi went up into the United Nations and made all these hot speeches. At the end of the day, what happened to Colonel Gaddafi? They literally went in, took his country from under him, killed him, and then glossed it over. So the focusing inward is where we need to really get our people to be. Now, our people need education. They need to know literally how politics work in their interest, how
Yeah.
the politician move from advocating to get a road done or advocating to get street lights done, or better yet, how can your parliamentary representative literally become an organizer within your community, within your constituency, to ensure that the vulnerable people are getting access to resources that the government have that they don't have access to. So the whole idea that there's only a single person in Barbados, I mean, that can effectively run a country is almost like as ludicrous as the cow jumping over the moon.
It's jobby. I tell you, it's jobby.
Yeah, it's like you impressing or trying to impress international bodies, like hoping that somehow money will fall off a truck. And that money that falls off the truck into our economy isn't going to have to be paid back. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? In other words, what arm of your government is actually actively working to make things easier for the average citizen? What arm of the government would you call that right now? That is actually working to ensure that we can pay less for food, to ensure that we can save more on our taxes. What arm of the government is doing that? That's ensuring that our livelihoods can be much, much easier than it is right now. That's ensuring that our children are actually up to par, not necessarily with just regurgitation, but they're up to par with innovation, with the ability to create things that we can then sell to the world. So where is all of this in the mix of this one party system or one person system? There's so much that needs to be done, and we need to keep working on it.
Yeah, that's so well said. Wavena Wiggins is saying that the first order of business will be the national debt. How do you guys intend to tackle it? And I think on your team, based on just reading about the candidates, I know that this is something that is near and dear to Bruce Hennis's heart, and he is the numbers guy. But you guys are better able to respond to that, Sean or Hiru or Trevor.
Right. Like you said, Marcia, Bruce is and I've alluded to it at the beginning when I started speaking. Bruce is brilliant when it comes to economics. Um, apart from him being here, what I would say is that one of the things that is needed, and again, I mentioned it before, there needs to be a little more emphasis, in my opinion, on agriculture, and not just agriculture for local supply, but agriculture as it relates to export. And when I say that, I'm not referring, for example, that we need to export breadfruits, or that we need to export cassava. But there's cassava chips, there's cassava flour, there's cassava chips even as it relates to the salted um, aspect of it. So what we need is to expand the manufacturing sector, the manufacturing industry, because that would aid in the foreign exchange. What the country. So for me, for example, it doesn't make sense to be borrowing $115 million to fix roads, right? If you're going to borrow money, make sure that that money is being invested. So the money that you're borrowing is being invested into something that will generate money. It will make money. The money will make money for itself. When you put $115 million into roads, how does the road make money? So it on one hand, it makes the residents of Barbados more comfortable, but on the other hand, we are paying up to our necks in taxes. So are you really comfortable when you're living paycheck to paycheck? I think that So, okay, I'm not sure if I could share that, but there was a proposal that was there was an excellent proposal in the area of agriculture that I think would put Barbados in good stead. And I'm sure that if the APP is elected, that you guys will hear about it, you will see about it, you will see the benefits of it. But for sure, um, all the things that I mentioned before, if you look at the renewable energy industry, we need to capitalize on that. We need to tap into that. Not only will it help us to earn money, but the other thing that it does is that it helps us as it relates to climate change and
Mm-hmm.
climate control. So everything is linked. If you look at one thing and you just pigeonhole it and you don't look at other things, then I think you kind of miss the mark. But when you realize that everything is connected and what you do at the top affects what happens at the bottom, then
Mm-hmm.
I think it shapes how you respond to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
I think one of the main things that we need to do is to put a little more emphasis on agriculture, but more so to the aspect of it being linked to manufacturing. I think
Mm-hmm.
manufacturers need a lot more assistance. So you need to put programs and policies in place that would generate revenue for the country, as opposed to like I said, borrowing $115, which is adding debt on top of that, and that debt is not being invested because it's not going to make any money for the country.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave the full answer for the economists in the party because I'm not one of the economists.
And I know that I was so Veronica is saying here that the manifesto will be coming out in a couple of days. So just sit tight.
Yeah,
Vibona has so many ideas here, and this is why I love this kind of arrangement where we can actually see and hear from the people. And Vibona is saying like
exactly.
tires can be repurposed, plastic and sand can make blocks, plastic covers can make roofs, a lot of the garbage can make tiles. Do we have the engineering and scientific skills who can look at our garbage and make these things at a community level? These are the kind of innovative ideas. So, Sean was on the other night, Sean Tude, and he was like, somebody said, oh, the politician fixed two lights and fixed the road. That is what the government's supposed to do. That. But no, we're talking about innovation at a
Yeah,
community level where the
yeah,
boys that are walking up on the street, up and down with nothing to do, they're not going to school. A lot of them in fourth and fifth formers, they're
yeah,
walking up and down on the road. They're not going on, logging on, but they're logging on to any school, and and you know what? It's causing a lot of issues with crime. But this is a
yeah.
brilliant idea. What do you say, Mr. Sealy? What are your thoughts about this idea here?
Well, I was going to dovetail off of something here, a very important point that Sean made, the connection with um, teaching people how to fish. We've had a political experience where people are given this and given that money and handouts and so on. So what that does when you give people something and they start to expect it from you, what you're actually creating is a dependent class.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really get much from a dependent class because they're not thinking for themselves. They're not developing the muscle memory to understand what is going on, what I can do, what to do differently to improve on myself. So I think we need to target the minds of our young people to
Mm-hmm.
start thinking just like an entrepreneur, what to do, what needs to be done, how can I better this, and point them on the road of what's called continuous improvement. Because what
Mm-hmm.
you do today may not be the same thing you want to do tomorrow. Because one can improve it and improve yourself the next day. So it comes back to the mind, dealing with the mindset. Let's move away from this dependent class on politicians and on government, and let's
Mm-hmm.
see what we can do for ourselves and our neighbors.
Hmm. I,
Yeah.
I love this idea though. What she's talking about is getting the community at a community level to get them. This,
Yeah.
we can
Involved.
increase. We can get people employed and with ideas like this. Mr. Sealy.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Again, when people start thinking for themselves and when we start holding hands and we don't just look and see what someone is doing and just ignore it. What they're doing, see what we can do to get involved to help them and helping someone. And again, if you help someone, you're actually helping yourself. If you help someone up, you're actually helping yourself up to as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
She's also saying here that banana plants can make textiles. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
Me
You
neither.
know, one of the things I thought of, Sean, in this time, and I'm seeing here, Paula Bradshaw and Shamua.
Mhm.
They're on, but if you would turn on your camera and your microphone, then we can have you, you could come into the studio. Let me just see Paula. If anybody can reach out to Paula Bradshaw to turn on her camera and her microphone. And the same for C. Shamua. Okay, great. Great, 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 great. Lovely. All right, wonderful. Welcome, sir. Welcome. I've always seen you on Facebook.
Yes, you have. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing
Yes.
you clearly. We always see you on Facebook. It's good. It's good to see you here. But
Nice to be here.
thank you for joining the conversation discussion tonight. And I think this is very, very important. When we went into the first lockdown and when we heard about COVID and we were home and I started to get into a lot of agriculture. And the
Mhm.
government too at that time, they were encouraging that, and were telling, saying you could come and get a tree at NCC, and they were,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a good idea. I sat down and I spoke to some of the US students who were doing their give back program at our institution, and they were so excited about that, and they felt that we were going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden that was dropped, completely dropped, and we were focusing again on tourism, opening up, the borders again, and we totally dropped the whole idea. So these ideas that Miss Webona is putting forward here, I think that those are things that
Excellent.
happened in the pandemic. We could have pivoted, but we
Yeah.
didn't. We just didn't. Go ahead, Miss. What do I call you? What's it? Shamua?
Shamor or Roach, it doesn't matter.
Roach. Yes. Go ahead, Roach.
Good evening to everyone.
Hey, good evening.
I want to continue where Sean and where Bona had left off, pretty much. But first, we need to recognize something. In everything that we speak about that needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
every single thing, it requires finance, period. Even to do charity, it requires finance. So I'm saying,
Mhm.
based upon my observation, this is me personally, Mr. Knight, who I am the campaign manager for, he is also of some of these views. But I am going to speak for myself, seeing that I am here now and he will be joining soon. But as a constituent, as an electorate, as a citizen, I have recognized that Barbados, incorporated Barbados, does not generate sufficient direct revenue of its own. In fact, many of its direct revenue streaming entities have either been sold or compromised in leases. For example, the Barbados National Bank, ICBL, the major shares we had in Light and Power, the ports are compromised because we are not in control of them any longer as we should have been. In 2018, I went to the seaport and I had to pay $5 to enter. So I
Mm-hmm.
asked, why am I paying you $5 to enter my port? We pay for this. Well, it came from the top. So my point is this: those entities direct, directly streamed revenue into the Barbados economy. Those funds belonged to no individual person, belonged to no shareholder. Those funds were going directly into the state purse to fix the capital projects that were being established or that were established in this Barbados. If you remove the means of bringing in direct revenue, if you remove that means, you still have to keep that standard of living going. So the bank is gone, no more millions coming in directly. Insurance Corporation of Barbados is gone, no money coming in directly anymore. The ports are leased out for management. Bishop will get to that really soon. The ports are leased out for better management. So if you lease me your property, whatever money I make on that property belong to me. You only get the lease money. That's it. Or whatever we agree on that you would get as a percentage from my profits. That's it. So millions upon millions, pardon me, running into billions, we have already given away. The people of Barbados allow that. So how are we going to finance these things that we are talking about? The only way to do that is by imposing more taxes, instituting fees onto your utility bills, like what just happened here the other day by our prime minister and this administration. That is horrendous. Worse yet, the VAT money. You wrote off that VAT money as soon as you got into power. So the corporations and the enterprises that took the people's money that they contributed via VAT, all of those millions are gone into private hands. So we are losing greatly. You can't just speak about, I hear Sean speak about the money that you borrow, you want to invest that. I totally agree with that. But the first thing we Barbadians should look at is why is it that we have no more generating revenue, direct revenue streaming entities to fund the projects that we want to fund? We must have direct money coming through. So before we even go into all of what we want to do, we need to be able to address where this money is coming from. Because as of right now, listen, when I returned to Barbados in 2010, I paid attention to the political landscape. I was made to understand that the bank was sold for these reasons. The farmers would borrow and wouldn't pay back. The ministers and MPs would send friends to the bank and all kind of foolish nonsense. I worked at 3 banks in the United States, Chief Manhattan Dime Savings Bank and Citicorp. And I didn't work as a janitor. I worked in car services. So I got a glimpse of what a bank is all about and the different types of banks. We had a nonprofit commercial entity bank. That bank did not have any shareholders. That belonged to the state. So the money that was coming in was going directly to the state purse. I was told that it was sold for those reasons. But rest in peace, the former Prime Minister, Mr. Arthur, in 2018, in the Nation News, twice made it clear why he actually sold the bank. He sold the bank because he needed to clear off some debt. To me, that doesn't make any sense. If you have an entity that brings in 18, 19, 20 million dollars in profit, why would you sell that? You need that money to help pay off debts. If you sell those entities that bring in those millions, then you do not have any money to pay any debts. So now, once again, you're going to be imposing taxes and utility fees on the people. We need to have that understanding. We need to reestablish a national bank, period. We need to reestablish a state insurance corporation. State insurance corporation insures the capital projects, private projects, as well as other insurance companies. That's millions, billions of dollars. The telecommunications lines, we never own those lines. Millions, billions of dollars again. We should be controlling those lines. They belong to us. That's direct revenue. I want Barbados to start paying attention to direct revenue. We need to make money directly. If we have to impose taxes to show up the balance that we need, fine. But we should not be looking at taxes as the main source of income. Lastly, in order to tax money, you must have money coming in. So what is it that you're taxing? You're taxing the 9 to 5 workers' pockets or employees' pockets. That's who you're taxing. While the corporations are getting walking off scot-free before VAT money. And no one made any noise about that. And that really upset me greatly. No one made any great noise about that. I have not seen it. I didn't hear it. So I'm agreeing with Indian. I'm agreeing with the lady Wavona. Great ideas and so on. But we first have to look at the house that we live in. If we are not working to generate direct revenue for our own house, it cannot be sustained. Barbados is a big house. It's an incorporated entity. We need to understand that incorporated entity must be able to generate its own finances, just like how you, Ms. Weeks, Mr. Sealy, Mr. Sean Carter, myself, other individuals. We have our own 95 jobs, our own personal enterprises, and so on. We do commerce among ourselves. Well, Barbados has its own entity, it has its own personality, and it must be generating its own money to do its own work as well.
Well, thank you, sir. So, oh my goodness, I tell you, this is awesome, awesome. I see you smiling there. Trevor, this is really, really tremendous. And he's a campaign manager. He's not even a candidate. And then people are gonna tell me that there is only one person in this country that can run this country. You know,
The candidates are seeing the Barbadians are seeing the candidates, but they're not seeing what is in the background. They're hearing what is in the background now. This is supporting structure that the candidates have. I just want to follow on. I just want to follow on from what Wayne said. Yes, all the money coming in, the contracts and money going out, set up the investment incomes and so on. What we really need, and not to just promise it, is this thing called integrity legislation.
Yeah.
We need to be able to watch this money, watch who gets it, and we need to be able to watch. And this should be again transparent. We need to be able to see from to the cent what is happening to our money that we put in terms of taxes and so on, to make sure that when these projects are done, they're done fairly to everyone. And Barbadians must get part of that. To don't bring in people just like that from overseas and devote people we have trained people here. We have people here that went to university and trained. Only about them. They should be part of the development and the project of this country. So we definitely need to be able to watch what is happening with the money and the projects that we invest in the country.
This we're looking at solutions, and that's why I love this group of people that watch in the nights, and we have more people added on, and it's always very positive. Someone is saying Mr. Roach needs to get out there and let Barbadians hear it. We're in desperate need for solutions to this country, and I think that's what it is. We need solutions. We heard Sean sharing some ideas tonight, and listen, the ideas are coming in fast and furious, right? Somebody said, oh my goodness, he's not a candidate. No, he's a campaign manager for our candidate. But this as Trevor was saying, this Trevor, Sean, and Shamo, the name hard to call it. This is an infrastructure that's put in place to help the candidates. And so Sean is in media and also working campaign manager for
Sean Tudor.
And we have our zone leader here. And who are the candidates you work with again, Trevor?
Veronica Price, Patsy Nurse, Marvel Ashley, and Maria Phillips.
Yes, so 4 candidates that you work with. So you're not doing this because money is involved. You really believe that this is about the fight for the soul of the nation, and so you have enlisted. And and here we have our candidates here. Wow, somebody was saying, well, we're looking for you. Good to have you here tonight, sir. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us which constituency you are running for?
Yeah, a pleasant good night to you and to the other panelists. I'm Victor Knight, the candidate for the constituency of Christchurch East.
Yeah, so you would have been on the road today. I heard people were telling me, man, you guys were hot doing spot meetings, and people were giving you some good high fives and stuff out there. Talk to us about the spot meeting. What's happening on the ground in Christchurch East?
Yeah, I think you're muted, Victor.
You're muted, Victor.
Whoops, nice one. Your video is muted now.
Your video is muted. Yeah, but I heard that it was going so well out there. Yes. Okay, so that's the campaign manager making sure everything is right.
Everything is all right. He's not only campaign manager, he's my technical assistant as well.
Yes, very good.
Special thanks to Mr. Sean Apati. He's been great as campaign manager, and my manager as well, Mr. Roach, Mr. Colin Roach. He's exceptional. And yes, we did lit the place afire, especially in Parish Land. I was
Okay.
extremely reserved, but the energy I got from these guys and the power of the Holy Ghost, let's call it that, give me the fire, and we lit the place afire. People was cheering for us. People was that's my birthplace actually. That's where I'm rooted, and the people, some of them rooted for me, and it was really great.
Somebody's
Yeah.
asking here, Miss. I'm so excited to hear that. I could feel the energy that's happening
Of
there in
course.
Christchurch
Well,
East.
thank
I
you.
think something is gonna happen. People are going to be looking at third parties out there, and I'm excited. Mr. Knight says it's Wayne Hoyt says, yes, Mr. Knight, tell us what you have been hearing and from the people in the Christchurch East, and what are your policy solutions to some of what you've been hearing.
Yeah, what we're hearing in Christchurch East, it is interesting. For the first time, we think we have met a lot of what we call diehard DLP supporters who saying they're not going to vote, and some of them saying they're not voting the DLP, so they're voting for one of the new parties. And since we present ourselves as an option, they want to go with the APP, and that's a plus for us. My solutions are the feedback we get from the constituents. They're saying the roads are deplorable. There are many areas where the roads are without light. So what we want to do is to look for simple solutions like just erecting a simple panel on some of the poles, and that can eliminate a lot of area at a very low cost, low energy cost. There's some flooding in some areas, which makes it impassable for a lot of the pedestrians. We are thinking of diverting some of the water that flows off the hill and sinking and maintaining the wells, the drainage wells, to encourage and increase a better flow of the water that keeps the road level and passable for the pedestrians. What's happening there, Colin?
Yes, we're
Yeah, we
all
hear
here.
you,
I
Victor.
mean, we're all here
Yeah.
listening to you, and it's
Thank
just
you.
to hear what's happening, and so you're finding solutions for the people there. So you said
Yes,
there was flooding in a particular area,
area. Yes.
etc., and then that you could put. So when you said put some panels, you're talking about solar panels.
And yeah, that's for lighting. Yes, solar panels that gives power to a simple
Street
LED light
lights.
and bulbs, a street light, and
Yeah.
and this would be a low cost, and this would illuminate a lot of area, and it's cheap. It's easy to just to fix them onto some areas where people, even a young man was telling us just yesterday that there were some robberies in the Waverley area. And Waverley is a long place you come. There's a village, Pegwell to be exact. To get to that village, you can't have to take either the 3D bus or the 13 bus. These are all ZRs. And then you have to walk about half mile either direction, and that's not good. And to solve that, my manager, Mr. Roche, and myself, we came up with an interesting solution. We are at Ferry Valley, where we could erect what we call a makeshift bus terminal. So buses could leave Ferry Valley every hour on the hour and travel these areas where no buses go on route to town. We have the Pegwell area, the Gibbons Bogs area, and there's an area off in the place where we call Hackett's Bogs. It's a forgotten area. Fair Valley itself is a district. Sean would have traveled there today with us. It's a village you don't go except you're going there. You can't pass there to go to another village. It's outside of, it's right at the back of the runway. So outside of any other village is a disconnected village. So we have lots of bus problems in that area where we have like 2 buses or 3 buses per day, and that's not good at all. So having this makeshift bus depot up there, this would alleviate some of the problems that we are having in terms of transportation for the residents in those forgotten and neglected areas. Because over the years, ma'am, we have seen MP after MP from the both traditional parties just neglect, and they facilitate areas where some people live. not to classify anyone, but some people in some areas get road maintenance, get bus service. Sometimes they don't really need them, and the persons who really need them are neglected. Many times we have to give people a ride to go out of our way to give people a ride home because they fear they're being robbed, and ladies especially. We don't want to have ladies and young ladies coming from work or coming from classes or whatever walking singly along that area. Something needs to be done to to benefit these people, and that's why we are here at the APP. We are here to give the people some hope and to add some value to their quality of lives. That's why we are here.
You know, Gene, I noticed it too, Gene. You're saying that he's so passionate. Mr. Knight is so passionate about his constituency. You know, and that's great, and that's what I recognize. And one of the things is because you're from that area, right?
Yes, I was actually born in the constituency. I schooled in the constituency. I spent most of my life in the constituency. And even though I have somewhat moved out, I am still in the constituency because I moved away as an adult. So all of my friends, all of my family is in the constituency of Christchurch East. So that's where I line, that's where my friends are, that's where I do a lot of work, and that's where I do a lot of voluntary services to the less fortunate.
So you're not, as I used the term the other night, you're not a hurry come up. Barbados said Johnny come lately. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Listen, somebody tell me the other word. Don't say that word again. But Johnny come lately. Right. So you know you're not you've been working in the community. It's you could feel that. Don't you feel that, guys? It's like the passion. And he has a handle on it. Andrea went. Harris is saying maybe the Sam Lloyd's Castle bus can go into Fairy Valley at selected times during the day and at night. So I don't know. I don't know. But those are ideas. The good thing about this, what I love, Trevor, is that people are providing solutions. It's coming from the people. You can't beat that. You can't beat that.
As I said, the people in this problem will provide you with the best solutions because they're in it all the time and it's on their mind.
Yeah.
So
and that's the first thing. Yeah, that's the first thing you learn in business, you know, Marcia. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You go to your customers, you go to your clients, you ask them what do you need, and then you provide what they need. You do the same thing with the constituents. You engage them, you have consultation, you hear what they want, and then you give it to them. You don't have to go in a boardroom and sit down and try to think of what do the people need. I mean, interact with the people, engage the people, and based on that, then you can figure out the how-tos. But the what's doesn't come from a boardroom. It comes from the people. We need to listen to the people. I mean, in the last 45 minutes, there has been tremendous ideas that have been shared in this forum, in the Election Express. And what's that? That's not coming from the panel. It's coming from your guests. It's coming from Barbados. And that's what we need. We need a government that will engage the people, that will listen to the people. I also love the ideas and the suggestions that Ms. Wiggins was making, because it's all about innovation. You can't, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing with this election. You cannot do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result. It goes for everything. You can't vote the same party. You can't vote the same party and expect a different result. Right? You can't do the same things we've been doing. You can't put all of our eggs in the tourism basket, and when there's a pandemic again, 50% of the people in Barbados are out of work. As you know, Marcia, I wear many hats, and one of the hats I wear is the president of the Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists. And entertainers and artists have been among the most severely affected by the pandemic. We had persons that were out of work for like 18 months, persons that lost their cars, persons that lost their homes, persons that could not provide just basic food for their families. So when you put all your eggs in that tourism basket, that's the risk that you're taking. What we need innovation. No, the again, I didn't mention this name before, but as I'm about to touch on this topic now, which is dear to my heart as it's dear to hers, Lynette Eastman has been there and about for a while as it relates to the creative industry, the creative economy, the cultural industries.
Mhm.
You name any area and any aspect of that, and Lynette is well versed on it. Lynette is also the lawyer for BACA, for the Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists. So many times when we have initiatives, those initiatives will be presented to our body after consultation with Lynette as well. So again, you have persons that are well versed not only in, like I say again, it's not pigeonholed to a particular area. But when you look at the creative economy worldwide, the creative economy is still $1 billion business,
Mhm.
right? If Rihanna had to rely on the infrastructure here or the lack of, I mean, she would not be where she is today. She is where she is because she got out of Barbados. We need to fix that. We
Mhm.
don't have an industry. We have a scene. So whether it is persons who have the skills of making baskets, whether it's persons who have the skills of being cosmetologists, I mean, there's so many different bits and pieces of it that I can mention. But what is needed to get these guys to the next level is the structure. We need the industry. We don't have to build an industry. And anywhere that you can look in the world that they're doing well in the creative economy is because there's structure and there's systems in place. Anybody in Baka could tell you. I always say we have a million ideas. Cool. Everybody has ideas. But what is the structure and what is the system that you're going to put in place? When you put structures and systems in place, then you ensure longevity. It's not a fly by night idea. You
Mhm.
know, so I have this idea, but I put structures and systems in place that I could be in Timbuktu and this thing is still running like a well-oiled machine. That's
Mhm.
that's what business is about. So whether
Mhm.
it's the business of a nation, whether it's a small business, it comes back down to structures and systems. Structures
Mhm.
and systems helps to facilitate an industry, and that's what we are missing. Marcy, you are one of the creatives. You're one of the best creatives that we've had here in Barbados, and you know the struggles. You know that the struggle is real, and there's so many things that you have to do on your own.
Mhm.
There's that lack of support. And I'm not here to say that a person should rely on government support. I'm not saying that, but I'm
Mhm.
saying that the government has a role to play in the structures and systems. We cannot just focus on tourism and give all the subsidies to hotels. So
Mhm.
many hotels, and then look at who own the hotels. So again, the money that is earned is going back out of Barbados. That doesn't make sense. So
Mhm.
I don't have to talk with a whole set of fancy economic words. Just look at that basic level. A way saying
Yeah.
economically is that it don't make sense. And if it don't
Right.
make sense, it
I mean,
don't make dollars.
you're a businessman, so as you said, a lot of the people. That's the thing. A lot of people who are running are entrepreneurs.
Right.
And there are people that know how to take their hand and make fashion. That's a lot of things we say in Jamaica.
Yeah.
You take your hand and you make fashion. What do you say in Barbados? You take your hand, make fashion, meaning that you can. You Somebody said it here, Fabian. Necessity is the mother of invention. You
Correct.
know, that's what
Correct.
that means. That's the English
Correct.
to what I said. You take your hand, make
Yes.
fashion. You make something out of nothing, and
Yeah.
really, that's what we need to be empowering our young people to do. Our community to
Excellent
do.
word.
But at what, Sean? I'm seeing this lovely lady here looking at me, such a beautiful spirit, lovely voice. And this is Mrs. Paula Bradshaw. And I mean, I'm walking with this woman and in town, and people are just calling to her, students, all about. I'm like, who do you know all these people? Paula, can you tell us about yourself and what your what constituency you are candidate for?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I am the representative. Notice I'm speaking forth, I'm calling it into being. I am the representative for St. Joseph. I hail from St. John, but St. Joseph is just next door. My dad used to teach in St. Joseph. We were always down there. We have family down there. And just going down there every day, it has been such a blessing. First of all, the parish is so beautiful. It is breathtaking. It is absolutely breathtaking. It is lush. It is beautiful. And the people are so warm. They're so sweet. They're so giving. Even the ones that tell you, don't bother to come. We are voting for winner. But they say, but I wish you all the best, though. Take care. Take care, her. Keep safe. The people are absolutely wonderful. I mean, I don't think I managed to take all the things out of my car. You're driving through and you just stop to say hello to somebody and they go, don't move, don't move. Again, I bring some bananas.
Wow.
I mean, bananas, they bring in bananas, pawpaw, soursop, because that's how we country people are. When people come by us, we like them to leave with something, right? And that is something I've grown up with all along. Sometimes you come home, you just find produce on your veranda, you find produce outside the door. And that is how we need to live. That is how we need to live to survive the harsh economic times that we are facing right now. It is about returning to the land. It is about sustainability, sustainable living. It is about returning to each one having their own little kitchen garden. And I have chives over by me, and you got fine time over by you, and we exchange. That is what we have to get back to. But we also need to get out of this mindset where we have to find jobs for people, as many people have said here tonight, and we teach them how to make fashion, as you said, Marcia. What
Yes.
is your skill? What do you have in your hand? What are you good at? Because there are certain things that we always need. No matter how hard pressed we are, we Bajans don't like to walk about looking scruffy, so we can always want a little haircut. We can, you understand? So if there's no barber shop within 5 miles, and that is something you're gifted at, okay, let's see how we can monetize that. So getting away from the find a job and getting to create an income, create a sustainable income. That is where we are pushing people. Get back to the land, grow what you eat and eat what you grow.
Yep.
Get back to sustainability. As everyone here has said, we cannot maintain the madness that is going on right now. This trajectory leads nowhere but to destruction. And we have to turn it right around and get back to sustainability, practical things, as Sean said, that just make sense. And there are so many Barbadians out there in Barbados and living abroad with wonderful ideas, brilliant ideas. There are farmers who have tried different things that work better, different systems, different strategies. And just by trial and error, they have discovered things that we don't know about. And it's not just in farming, it's not just in agriculture, it's in every sector where there are ordinary people who, by trial and error and their God given brilliance, have figured out better ways to do things. And we are not asking them, we're not including them in the process. So we have to return to democracy in its purest form and truly, truly, truly include everyone, include those who have really witty inventions that we never even considered, things that are going to save us money, things that are going to earn us money, things that are going to put us on the global map, but for the right reasons. And don't get me wrong, I I went to school with our prime minister, and from the time she landed in the school at age 11, we knew that she was going to be a leader. We could see that natural intellectual curiosity. We could see all of those things. So I am not one who is here to bash our leader. She is an extremely intelligent lady. But I'm saying that we have to start doing things differently. And we have to consider thinking outside of the box. And as one of the panelists said here tonight, stop assuming that 1 or 2% of the population have all the answers. That is not so. That is not so. So if I'm merely a facilitator to bring in all of our gifted, smart, creative inventors, then I would be honored just to do that, because they are out there. They are out there. I just want to add one more thing from moving around. Apart from meeting the wonderful people and enjoying the beautiful parish of St. Joseph, we have seen way too much suffering. I've seen a wonderful video of the roads that were fixed, but I almost drove my car off a 10-foot drop because I didn't know that the road had ended and fallen away. So there are many, many, many roads that have fallen away and are just in a total state of disrepair. And there are many families seeing it rough, rough, rough. Homes with holes in the floor and the wall. I mean, people just having a really hard time. They say they've been pleading for help and not getting it. So they are my priority. Election or no election, seat or no seat, MP or not, I will be looking to bring solutions to those in need. I've been moved, I've been touched, I've heard their cries, and no matter what happens after the 19th, I will be looking to provide help. I will be looking to be down in St. Joseph all the time and really bringing solutions.
Wow.
Because it broke our hearts to see the conditions that our people are living in. How in 2022 do people have to go down a steep, wet, slippery incline to get a shower at a pipe or to go to the bathroom? Look, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So these people need help, and they need it now.
You know, Paula, what I love, you said something that regardless of what happens on the 19th, that you will be working with the people in St. Joseph, and you will be going. And I want to tell you, just here in your heart, you know what? You know, I'm enlisting. I'm enlisting. I want to help as well, because that's the thing, you know, that's the thing, Mr. Sealy. It and you know, it has to go beyond the 19th.
Absolutely.
Be, you know, or we something has to happen. It has to happen at a level where at a community level.
That's it.
At a community level.
That's it.
And the compassion in our hearts, and we, you know, in this day and age, for people to be living like that and to be still in Barbados, a pit toilet, who would ever? When I tell people, you know, Sean, in Jamaica, that there are people here, my mom comes here, and I tell her, you know, people here are pit toilets. She said, Barbados? That's not impression that we give to the world.
That's right. That's right.
That's not impression. People suffering in St. Joseph, no roofing, no flooring, you know, the bathroom outside and all of that. We don't give that impression. You know, we don't give that impression to people outside of Barbados, you know, but we show the nice flowery parts to the tourists.
That's right. and it is so wrong. I mean, I passed a constituency office, and on either side of that constituency office were dilapidated homes in a terrible state of disrepair. But of course, the constituency office is shiny and spanking new looking, you know. We have to stop that. We have to stop that. And I know there are other residents of St. Joseph who would be willing to help those in need. I'm not one who feels that all the answers have to come from government. I think there are people who are willing to help their neighbors if they just know they need and if they're just approached. I really do believe that we are our brother's keeper. So things change has to come, and I declare that change has come. Change has come. We have to stop talking pretty. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being articulate. There's nothing wrong with being an excellent communicator, but it has to materialize into, can my people eat? Do my people have enough to eat? All of them, not just a few. all of them. And even if it's a minority of them who can't eat every day and who don't have the shelter and comfortable housing, that is despicable, and we have to do better. We should be ashamed, and we need to address it with urgency.
And this is another
sir.
look at this. The eradication of pig toilets were promised in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. All talk and not the word that they say I mustn't say, right?
Right.
That's the word. I did say it. You can read it. They say I mustn't say that word. But I mean, really and truly, I think that we need people that with that kind of heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean, who's going to say, and I know Victor, you could tell Victor is already doing those things in Christchurch East.
Yeah.
Right, Victor? Whether you're the representative or not, Victor, you could hear his heart. And that's what I love about these third party candidates who come on here. Victor, I know for you it's much more than the 19th, isn't it?
Of course, it goes on long before the 19th, on the 19th, and it continues way after the 19th. Just like Paula says, I will be in my constituency, I will be in my communities, helping people, continue to work with them. We always talk about the 3 C's. We will communicate with them, we'll cooperate with them, and we will remain committed to the people of our communities. We
Yes.
at the APP, we came together as a party of concerned people because we want to give Barbados a better quality of life. We want to develop minds. We want to develop the people in this total. Just to mention something here, we forgot early on. Campaigning yesterday, myself and Mr. Roach, we encountered a person with a disabled child, and it is heartbreaking where this person cannot work because she has to give around the clock attention to this child with special needs. And with the schools, there's no face-to-face classes. She has problems because she cannot work, she cannot send the child to school. And even when the child goes to school, she has to go to school to assist because one teacher cannot look after these special needs children. One teacher cannot look after 4 of them. You need about 2 teachers for every 6. So we need to find a way of looking after these special needs children. We have to have special equipment. Obviously, you can't put the normal pencil or pen into their hands. That's dangerous. You can't have the normal chair and table. They will injure themselves by damaging these properties. So we have to get together because obviously we cannot depend on the traditional parties. The slogan that somebody cares is not really actuality. We at the APP, we cares because we have caring, daring, God-fearing people in our party. Amen.
Amen. That's
Amen,
right.
brother.
That's right.
And
Someone mentioned here, St. Joseph has serious water problems, and oh my goodness, they must have been listening to my conversations for the last 2 years. I have serious water problems here in St. John as well. Well, right now things have been good recently, but for an entire year we had water woes, and St. Joseph has had a really hard time of it. And this is something I have said repeatedly. There is no water scarcity in Barbados. There's poor management.
Yeah.
How much more fresh water does the ocean need to flow from our springs back into it? We have so many springs, and right there in St. Joseph, we have springs here in St. John. Why aren't we harnessing that water?
Yeah.
Why aren't we redirecting it and using it? Just flowing right back into the ocean. That makes absolutely no sense to me. We need more desalination plants in Barbados as well. And another thing that I don't understand is how can people be without water for the better part of a year or more and still be receiving bills that say due for disconnection?
Yeah.
How is that fair? How is it fair that the people like me who were privileged to have water for a couple hours a day be receiving a bill as if I had water all day long? How is that fair? We have to look at these things. Something that I don't understand is how do you have VAT on people's utilities? That is so unthinkable. You're slapping VAT on utilities. So we really have to look at why our people struggle. I'm also a fan of the solar power, off the grid solar power, because a lot of my friends who paid thousands of dollars to have the solar panels on their homes, after the hurricane, they still couldn't access any power because they were still tapped into the grid.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then there was damage done, and they were told that they had to pay for the repairs to their system. So these things must change. We live in a hurricane belt. Did anyone remember that? So obviously there should be more underground. He's laughing. Obviously, the electric company should have more underground cables, not just in certain areas. If you know that we're going to have more storms and hurricanes and that we're in the belt. So why would you have these overhead wires knowing the problems you're going to get with one little mild storm? So there's so many matters. There's so many things that could be done a better way. And I'm saying, if a humble teacher like me could figure that out, the experts surely could figure it out.
Yeah, you wonder, I mean, why aren't they figuring it out? What is it really all about? And I think Curtis Daly saying the government was using the St. John Spring as a dump. Wow. Joel King saying we really need to harvest rainwater.
That as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, these ideas, and what I want to say to Trevor and to Sean is, these ideas will be in the chat. And I want to give you guys a challenge to go and harvest them. Take the ideas, take the questions. There are lots of questions in here that we don't have the time to answer all of these questions. But I think if APP is about being ready to serve, I want to give you a challenge to go and get these ideas. And some of them which you already have, or the questions, I should say, the questions that they're asking. Let's be practical and hear what the people are thinking. And to those who are watching, if you're watching the lovely Miss Paula Bradshaw, look at her. She's such a sweet woman. And if you are watching and you're feeling the heart, of Victor's heart for Christchurch East, and you want to enlist, listen, I want to help them. Like I told her after the 19th, listen, I want to go help in St. Joseph. I'm serious, Paula.
And listen, you know that I will call. I ain't got no shame. My friends know me.
Yeah, listen, we got some women there that a couple of us. We going down there for them people. We're gonna help, and I'm gonna be helping in my area here. Where we live, it's the same. I know a lot of you would have seen the young men who went into the community shop and hold up the people with guns.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock at night or 8:30, they went down to the community from our community, and we go down to the shop all the time. And this is something that I've been reaching out to leaders, in the community to say, listen, our youth, they're crying out to us.
Yeah.
This is a cry. Sean, it's a cry for help.
Yes.
And I know Victor will understand that. And so, we need to get somebody talk about a community revival. This chat has been so active tonight, and that's what we need.
Yes.
Trevor, it's
Absolutely.
a community revival where we are doing. Come on, let's do the stuff ourselves.
And what I would love to see also, Marcia, is 2, 3, 4 representatives working together. I don't have to come up for a specific solution for my parish. Of course, my parish might have specific needs. But what I'm saying is, if I have something that works well in my constituency, let me rope you in from St. John. Let me rope you in from St. George. Let's do it together for the zone. Let us work together. I mean, they're only 24 hours in one day, but I am still a St. John girl. So I can't be down in St. Joseph helping them and not checking for my people here. So I can be, however I can help Philippe, I will help Philippe. And I believe that however he can help me in St. Joseph, he will help me in St. Joseph, because that's how country people roll.
You know, great. Steve Morris saying Barbadian people need to vote in the newer parties. Only mad people continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result for
That's right.
55 years.
That's
So
right.
come on, people, vote for the new parties. And you know, I have no shame in saying that. You know, vote for the new parties. Vote. That's why this show, I say, you know, Sean, I'm going to use my time and my energy to showcase the newer parties, you know,
Yeah.
because they don't get the airplay like the others do. And look and listen to how rich this conversation is.
Thank you
Whether
very much.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Trevor. Trevor, you were saying something.
I said, of course. I'm so moved and inspired. I made a sign up to join the help
I'll be
Yeah,
team
calling you.
to help my brothers in St.
yes.
Joseph and St.
And
John.
good.
Uh,
Anybody in the chat that's watching, anybody who's watching, you know, you want to sign up to help. Listen, it's not about no politics. That's
No.
another thing we need to get out of our heads, you know, guys, because I would never be doing anything like that, like this probably a year ago. But there is a
True.
need, and so we have to step up. Right,
Yep.
right, Sean?
Yep, exactly. I mean, the reason why I'm here and wearing this green shirt tonight is because of what Paula has expressed here and what Victor have expressed. I think, you know, God designed tonight because they both have huge hearts. They're not people that talk fluff. They're people that are action people. They're people that care about people, and that's why I'm anything to do with this party. As you know, Marcia, I really didn't have any interest at all to have anything to do with politics. But being in certain spaces and hearing, not seeing somebody from afar, but actually hearing their heart, and then hearing the way that they've been touched when they engage the people and interact with the people. Just hearing from their experiences did something for me, as I'm sure when you heard Paula speak. I mean, listen, I just saw Paula's bio before when I was about to upload the bios to the APP Facebook page, and I read through several of the bios, and I read Paula's bio, and just from reading that bio, I said I will sign up tomorrow. I will sign up tomorrow because you could hear her heart for the community just in the bio alone,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
heard it here tonight as she spoke. I mean, if I was living in Saint Joseph, I don't care what my family, which part of my family was accustomed voting for. This is not the election to vote for party. This is the
No.
election to vote for candidates that will look after your interests. I mean,
Mhm.
I will ask a simple question. Each person each person that is going to be voting on the 19th, you need to ask the real question. This party that I have been supporting could be red, it could be blue. This party that I have been supporting for 55 years, have they really been looking after my interests? Have they really been running this country the way that it needs to be run? If you can honestly answer those questions, then that would be the determining factor for you to cast your vote. If it's been working for you, well then don't change. If it's not working, then this is the time to change. APP offers an option.
Correct.
Before there were no options before. You now have option.
Sean,
You have it. Yes, brother.
pardon me, my brother. The answer to that clearly is no, because when you can take the people's direct revenue generating entities and sell them to private interests, lease them out to private interests, removing Barbados from having that ability to pay its own debts off of its own speed, and to take some of that money and to place in investments that the returns can be even greater, to pay off more debt and develop the country more, then the answer to that has to be no. They have not been looking after our interests. They have been looking after corporations' interests, not the people that elect them. That's very clear to see.
Right.
And another
Yeah.
question to ask, because there are some of us who are benefiting, there are business people who are benefiting, There are people who are comfortable. But if the government isn't taking care of the least among us,
Yeah.
then those of us who are comfortable cannot turn a blind eye and say, well,
Exactly.
I'm okay.
Mhm.
We're not okay until all of us are okay.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah. You see, we've become so accustomed to neighborhoods, and a neighborhood is not a community.
Mhm.
That's
And
correct.
and and what you've been saying here tonight, everybody has been saying here tonight, is that we need to get back to community life.
Yeah.
Now we have all these discussions about removing the name of God and removing the sovereignty of God.
Mhm.
That basic principle right there, community, that is rooted in the Word of
That's it.
God.
That's
It's
it.
rooted in the
Koinonia.
Word of God.
That's right.
All of the answers and the solutions that we're looking for is right there in the Word of God. But you say that to a nation and they think that you're being religious. So
Mhm.
you say that and people will say, oh, so because when it's Christians, you think we should vote APP. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that the solutions have already been written. There's nothing new under the sun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Mhm.
We just need to tap into what is already there, and that's what we've been saying. When you have consultation, when you listen to the people, when you engage the people, you hear
Mhm.
this. If I'm in this situation every single day, I might lack the resources to get out of it, but because I'm in it every day, I'm feeling it.
Mhm.
My family is feeling it. Then I'm thinking, how can I get out of this? I know how to get out of it, so I need help. I don't need your ideas per se, but I need your assistance. I need your resources, whether it's people resources, whether it's finances, and that's why we need to listen to the people.
That's right.
And I mean, it's clear that the last administration have not been
Mhm.
listening to the people. So for me, what I'm hearing is that there's a need for radical reform. There's a need for public sector reform. And even as Brother Roach was saying there just now, when you even break down what he was saying, not we're not even looking now at the working class
Mhm.
versus the corporations. But
Mhm.
if you want to tell if a government really cares, would you have a set of nurses that are striking in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of an election, and being completely ignored? That don't speak so care. Listen to think back to what Victor said and the passion with which he spoke as it relates to Parish Land and his core constituency. Listen to what Paula said as it relates to St. Joseph. Doesn't matter what happens on the 19th, these people will get help. It is
Mhm.
crazy that in 2022, we have a leader that is going all over the world and talking fancy and people still using pit toilets, right? All of us on this call probably had the experience of pit toilets. But we made a decision, you know what? My child does not have to know this, and my child will not know this.
Mhm.
But in 2022, and all the fancy talk, and you still have people, and it's not only in St. Joseph, in the by-election in St. George North, we heard the same exact thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It is insanity. You're doing the same Barbados, it is insanity. You're doing the
Mhm.
Sean,
same thing over and over. You're not getting a different result, and it is insanity. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Sean,
Absolutely crazy.
I want to
Mhm.
touch
It
on something
is.
that you just mentioned there, Sean, with
Sure.
respect to the nurses. I mean, we have to we have to look through our own lens, pay
Right.
attention to what we see. It's not fooling
Mhm.
us. Here we have a set of nurses who have been on the front lines of this
Correct.
pandemic. Their complaint is finance, money. They're not being paid.
And not on time.
They even have to take what little money they have to buy certain things to utilize at the hospitals, etc., etc.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, now the prime minister has called snap elections and has somehow found $3,000 to give each Barbadian now, and
First
have
time
somehow now found
homeowners.
a
Yeah.
way to reduce taxes for certain individuals in the country. Well, those finances could have been pulled together and paid the nurses. So
I
this is
agree.
gimmicks right now and deception at that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because sadly, why we need to Sean always says this thing, and he said it even when he was interviewed by the Nation. We need to move away from old school politics. We need to move away from circus politics. So when it's election time, you hear, even though we've had the last administration, And when I say the last, I mean because Parliament is dissolved now, so there's no MPs in power right now. So when I say last, I'm referring to BLP. Um, they were in power for the last 3 years. Why are you bringing promises to me now when you had 3 years that you could implement these? I mean, we boast a high literacy rate, and then they turn around and speak to us as though we are stupid.
Exactly.
If you plan to implement these things, you would have done it. Don't wait until there's an election to tell me, well, I am going to do this for you now. Well, why didn't you do it before? That's my question to them.
Not to mention they were in power before the Dems and had, what was it, 14 years to implement lots of things. This is
during that time is when they took the time out to sell our jewels. Okay, that's the part that really gets me. During that time, they took that time to plan and put together agreements to sell what belonged to the people.
Yeah, this is, and you can see the comments that's coming from the people, and I just want to say to the everybody in APP, whatever third party you're from, stay true to the people. Hear what it is that they are asking you. We're telling you about what's happening in their communities. And really stay true to that, because I think that sometimes, after they get in to office, I don't know. I mean, it's like something goes to their head.
I want to know what's happening in that parliament, man. I want to know what happens in that parliament, because they get there and all of a sudden it's like Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
But Mr. Roach, there's another thing that I brought up here on the show that I'm thinking that if you're a successful businessman and you were running your business or business person, and or you have you're a business person, you go into become a minister or an MP or whatever the case might be. Why is it that we can't take some of that money, the salary that you're getting, and put it back into the community? Now, I know that is a little, not everybody can do that, but there are some of these people who can do it. There are some of them who can do it. And you know what, Paula? When you study Errol Barrow, there was a time Errol Barrow told all of them, because you're gonna say she's a Jamaican, how she knows about Barrow. Well, I did a whole study. I did a film on Errol Barrow, okay, and that's how I fell in love with Errol Barrow, because of his heart. Errol Barrow would have told them, listen, everybody in here taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
And I interviewed ministers who said they were very upset. Errol Barrow brought them all an emergency meeting and tell them, listen, with what is happening in this country, not one of you will be traveling first class. And not even Barrow traveled first class. He would travel economy. Not all the time, but in that period of time, he traveled economy. That's the kind of leader that we need right now. That's a leader that we need.
Exactly.
Barrow would say, listen, put his pay right back into the country. And
that's exactly what we need. And I don't understand, how does someone who is making $15,000 need a government phone or need travel allowance? Where are you traveling going? In tiny Barbados, why do you need any allowances when you're getting that amount of money? It is madness, absolute madness. How is it that when the public service got the 5% increase, the parliamentarians got it as well? There wasn't a cap on the increase. There should have been a cap on that increase. If you're saying government workers are getting an increase, it has to be up to, say, $80,000. So there was no cap. But then in the September, parliamentarians got an increase, and then in the following January. But now you want to tell me you can't afford to pay nurses?
Yeah.
You understand?
In a country, the nurses, the teachers, the firemen, the police officers, the bus drivers, and the garbage collectors should never be neglected. Never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Our
Public
farmers,
sector reform.
Oh, don't talk about the farmers.
Public
Public sector reform.
Mr. Roach is saying something.
I have some farmers that we met, Mr. Knight and I. They are livid, especially the young, small, micro, medium farmers. They're not getting the assistance that they need. And again, again, the entire Barbados contributes to the state coffers. Our farmers should be, if not anyone else, our farmers should be sitting at the top. That's how we eat.
That's right. They feed
That's
us.
how we eat. Our nurses, when it comes to the medical industry, our nurses, our doctors, they have to be right up there. Our indigenous byproduct manufacturers, they need to be up there.
Exactly.
Food,
Exactly.
medicine, you're not supposed to play with them.
That's right.
Hygiene, you're not
Right.
supposed to play with them.
You know, Mr. Roach, there's a video that I'm going to play here, and this is not, we oftentimes don't, since we've started these programs, we focus on what the party that I'm interviewing is doing and so on, and what that candidate is doing. But I really have to play this video because I'm
Okay.
wondering if I'm missing something here. And I'm not. They'd love to tell me I'm a foreigner. So I want you that are not a foreigner to listen to this thing here and tell me what are you understanding from this video. That's my
Okay.
purpose of playing it. Okay, so just bear with me. Just listen to it.
Okay.
It's coming.
For an opposition, and I hear it. And I understand Barbadians' sense of fairness. But I warn you that when you vote for an opposition, you may end up with a government you didn't want. Can the country afford that at this time? I say not. And if it happens, will we accept it? Of course we will. But at the end of the day, we already know what the consequences of mismanagement and lack of leadership are. They are too recent in our memory, and we bore the consequences and carry the scars still on us.
Now, I want to stop because you can look for the video and listen to the rest of it.
Sure,
But
no problem.
what do you understand from that statement that she's saying that Barbadians are balanced and fair and they want an opposition? But what are you getting from that?
It means, it would mean, if Barbadians are balanced and fair and want an opposition, and the prime minister is speaking against it, then it means that the prime minister is not balanced and fair.
Interesting, because Paula, what are your thoughts? You went to school with her and she's your friend and so on. But tell me,
I did say she's my friend.
I'm sorry, is that a stretch? That's a stretch. Okay,
That's a stretch. We were in class. We were in class together, but
I'm listening to this and I'm saying, what are you really telling the people?
It seems desperate. It seems desperate, and to be honest, I'm like, is this a self-fulfilling prophecy? Are you talking about your administration? Who are we talking about here? Because
Yeah.
as I'm listening, I'm saying you're absolutely right. That is exactly what we don't want. And yes, we are wearing the scars right now as you speak. So yes, you're so right about this particular party, but it does seem a little desperate. And given the intelligence of the lady, I am surprised that she stooped to that level, and I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest.
But some members in the chat are making it very clear that it appears to be fair. I would want to accept that too.
Well, desperation, yes, fair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but why the thing is, let me hear from the foreigner. Shut up, Sean. Let me hear your thoughts.
I mean, my sentiments are very similar to Paula's. When she was speaking about mismanagement, she said, you already know what they will do, how they will mismanage the country.
Exactly.
And that is, what they said. They said when you're pointing at somebody, one finger is pointing at them and four is pointing back at you. And that's exactly how it seemed there to be. I also see somebody that is probably listening to the people on the ground for the first time, or if she isn't listening to the ground, to the people on the ground, she's hearing of the reports that are on the ground. She's hearing what we are hearing when we go into the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that those times of, again, as Sean Tudor would say, circus politics, those days are over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what APP is here to say. Those days of circus politics are over. The people are waking up. Those tricks, those gimmicks, those optics, they're not working
Smoke
anymore.
and mirrors, yep.
The PM is realizing now that it's not working. You know, many people want real solutions. The economy is rough, and you're feeling it at every single level. I'm feeling it as a small business owner. Homeowners are feeling it. Mothers are feeling it. Fathers are feeling it. The people are feeling it. You cannot tax your way out of debt.
That's right.
Shamor was asking, where's the money going to come from? You know, you can't tax your way out of debt. No, no. Something that I mentioned before is, well, sorry, mentioned it earlier this evening when I was out in the field. Um, is this money saved is as good as money earned? And where I'm going with that is that Barbados is too top heavy. So it's going back to what you were saying there, Marcia. When the economy contracted in Barra's time, he said, "Listen, everybody has to take a pay cut."
Mm-hmm.
When and to show you it's not partisan, when Arthur was in power, there was a point in time when the economy contracted, and Owen said everybody needs to take a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
One is D, one is B.
Mm-hmm.
But there are leaders who are for the people, and then there are leaders who are for themselves. The people
Right.
can make the decision who is who. And
But hold a minute there, Sean. With
mhm.
that, I want to hear, Mr. Sealy, your thoughts on what you just heard.
First of all, she's the very reason I'm here sitting at this in this conference, this little meeting. I came kicking and screaming to this arena. I really didn't want to be here, but it's obvious she thinks that she's the only body that can handle this situation. When I looked at her governance, I think she was the only one. When any big issue come up, none of her troops would come forward. She always always putting herself forward in the picture. You know, she ruling the whole ship. You know, I think she micromanages everything. But I would lead people to, I don't really want to talk about her, spend time on her. I want to focus on what we need to do for Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody wants to know the type of woman she is, I encourage them to search Owen Arthur and his statement at the Parliament, referring to her as a despot. And I mean, people can go listen to that, but let us focus on what we can do for Barbados, what Barbados needs are, and let's go forward as a party, united. And as we say, we can work with the community approach. Let the community tell us what the needs are, what we can do for them, and let's press forward to leave our children a beautiful Barbados, not a Barbados that we can turn out to be under this leadership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, some people in the chat, because for me, I when I listen to it, I'm thinking it is a healthy thing to have an opposition. You
Of
know,
course.
you shouldn't be. We
Mhm.
should not. It's unhealthy. And if you are any level of patriotism, love for country, love for the people, there is no way that you're telling the people don't have an opposition. You need in everything. You need to have good, healthy opposition, and
Yes.
that is what makes a healthy country. So
Well,
to
you
Yes.
know,
tell the people that they don't need an opposition, it's just I mean, it just had me. I was dumbstruck listening to her.
well, Miss Weeks, um, you know, even at the Senate level, it tells you how important an opposition is because had not for a good brother like Mr. Franklin,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
mean, they were able to stop bills at the Senate level. That's opposition. These are the bills that are with respect to the town, country, and planning development, the amendment that got stopped, and then
Mm-hmm,
there was what? There was the bill there that neglected to include
mm-hmm,
the judges, not everybody else, except the
mm-hmm,
judges. And
mm-hmm,
so, had not for the Senate, it probably opposition there in the Senate, it probably would have gone through. So, opposition is very important.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, Wayne Hoyt is saying it's because there was no opposition. He says, why policies failed because no one was opposing a group of yes men and women who were elected. And I don't know how could somebody who loves the country be advocating that the same thing that happened the last time happened again? It
Favors from special
baffles me.
interests.
It's
Favors from
completely.
special interests. That's the problem.
Oh my
Favors
God.
from special interests. That is where many of our problems lie.
It baffles me. Nehemiah is asking, if under the APP there will be an investigation into the activities of both these political parties. Hoyt is saying, well, what's Pammy Paris is saying she wants all power and control. That's when she listens to the video. Wavona Wiggins says, Father Lord Jesus, remove the mere administration. We're tired of being dictated to, and we're tired of her micromanagement and secret deals that only she and Sancha know about. That is Wavona's comment there. And Steve Moore is saying no one wants a micromanager. Yeah. And
Yep.
and Wavona is saying again that she has to fulfill an agenda that she signed on to. And opposition mean no challenge in the mandates that are there that are to be implemented. And
Absolutely.
when I heard her statement today, I said, "Listen, when can I vote? When can I vote just to defy her? Because that's crazy that you're saying even in a marriage, it's good to have an opposing view, opposing thought, so that we can come up with the right thing. You know what I mean? That's
Of course.
healthy. It's
Of course.
healthy when you can't say, this is what I think, or let's look at it another way. Then we say that's an abusive relationship, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly.
I like to bring in I like to bring in Ronald Reagan here. As I understand it, if there was a debate on a particular topic, he'll bring all sides into the room and hear both sides. And from that, he will then come up with his decision. That's the best approach. But I find leaders today only want to hear one sound, one tune playing, and that is never good. You need to hear both sides. And that's the approach I think leadership should have moved away from, and we should move back to it. Here, allow both sides on the table to speak, and then make your decision from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah, we have a
there's so much.
situation.
Go ahead, Simon.
No, I was just agreeing with Trevor. I was saying we have a situation where might is right, and that's what we've been experiencing in Barbados for a while. So the working class and the poor people have been neglected, and that's not how it should be. A candidate is elected to serve. He's a minister. Minister means to serve. That's first and foremost. He can be given a portfolio. He can be given a ministry. But again, within that ministry, he's there to serve. Now, because I'm given a ministry as an MP, does that mean that I neglect my people? No, my people must come first.
That's
but
right.
that only happens if you have a heart for the people. If you're there for a salary and for the payday, then it's very easy for you to lean towards this way of the ministry and to neglect the people. But the people build the nation. We don't have natural resources. Our resources is the people. Barbados is us. It is you. It is me. It's the average man on the street. It's the coconut vendor. It's the snow cone vendor. Right? It's the people. Our resources are the people. People come back. Tourists return to Barbados because of not necessarily because they see the lion or because they went to Harrison Cave or because they went to the Animal Flower Cave, because of the people. For me, if I was an MP, even if Paula was an MP, I would use her to do an ad for Barbados to put in tourism, because Paula captures the essence of the Barbadian that I would want any tourist to see and to know.
Yeah, too sweet.
I second that.
But listen, I told you, the people in St. Joseph, I know my St. John people are sweet. I don't know that, right? But the people in St. Joseph are so sweet that there's no way that tourists could come and meet them and not want to come back.
Exactly.
Exactly. They would just want to keep coming back all the time.
Yes,
guys, this is that is true. The people in the heart of the country. Someone is agreeing with you. Again, guys, you know what? This is going so sweet, but we have work tomorrow and all kind of things, so we're gonna have to close off. But this is going so great, guys. All these ideas. This chat is lit up. we're going to be on again tomorrow. And listen, we're not here talking in vain. We're going to have the candidates. Candidates are going to be on tomorrow from, I believe it's BSP. They're going to be on every night. We're going to have, candidates on. And Tuesday, we're at 6 o'clock. There is going to be the presentation of candidates. It's going to happen. And as I said, good things come to those who wait. Just hang on, it's going to happen. And I can see there's a lot of interest. A lot of people are interested in this. And we're going to ask you to share. I know that a lot of political meetings are happening. But what I realized with this show is that people watch it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will get up tomorrow and I see the views are like all the way up. They watch it the next day, right? And I know Mr. Sealy, you called me and told me that, oh my goodness, I can't believe how many persons are watching, because there's so many, all the lights and the things happening all over the place, but then they still come back home to watch it, right? So we're going to be on again at 7, and hoping, as I said, this is a place where the candidates, they can come, and just be able to share their views and let the people meet them and see their heart and answer the questions that they have. We couldn't answer all of your questions tonight, everyone, but I'm giving the candidates a charge, and those managers that are watching, that are on, and zone leaders, to go inside this chat and find the questions in there that we did not answer. Let's be good steward, right? And take it back to the team. This is about the people. Let it be about the people. Let it be about what they're saying to us.
Yes.
As Michael Bourne says, a very interesting and enlightening session. That's what we have every night, Michael. So come move away from the glitz and the holy balloon and enough noise and music, and come over here and sit down and let's talk real things. Real talk over here, right? And meet real people. Real people, right?
Real candidates.
The real candidates,
Yeah.
Come and meet them, and people are commenting. Well done, panelists. Very good, and and they came in last minute, I tell you. But they're living it. They live it.
That's right. That's right.
So, guys, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Mr. Hoyt. Mr. Hoyt is there all the time. Guys, give the third parties a chance. And not just because you want to make a change. I did it last year. I went there and I read all the manifestos and decided on what I wanted to do, even if it was just me alone. I decided that this is what I wanted to do. Trevor told you he did it as well. He chose a third party. It has to start somewhere. Yeah. We don't want to be the next election where saying, oh God, and we're back at it. No, that's madness, as somebody said. It's crazy. It's crazy. Guys, make a change. Go and spread the word. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Come on. Let's do this. Let's do a change. Let's bring a change. Okay? So see you all next week. Tomorrow. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.
It was great. Yeah.